If you've ever felt like you just simply gave away a very winnable game, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. We are back for another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, and it is not even waiting for the market to open. We've got hot pre-market action all across the board. We've got news to break down. It's a T3 Tuesday. Fall is absolutely here. It's going to be a good day. Another good day in a row. We're going to keep stringing good days in a row together. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Tuesday edition for September 9th, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a better rest of your Monday night than I did. And we are back to start yet another new day here. And we have a ton of action already in the pre-market. Sometimes we just have a couple of runners that are making some moves, but sometimes we got a lot of stuff going on. And that is the case today. In addition to all of the movers, I see that just as the show started, we got a $200 million offering on Ondas. That is why it is selling off. Now, initially here, I don't want to put too much into that because the last couple of times the stock has done an offering, it's actually been bought back pretty good. But that is selling off here on an offering news. Perhaps we can take a look at that when we get to the movers. But before we do that, let's go ahead and welcome everybody back. Brian today is first. Welcome, Brian. Good morning. I got in Octo so late on that second wave and still made bank. Sold well before close. Curious to see what it does at open. Guess would be dump, but you never know. And you're absolutely right about that, Brian. Congrats on making bank. I do kind of want to start here with a little bit of a mea culpa on Octo, because what I was saying yesterday is that, look, stock's up several %, probably not the best stock to buy. We were saying that around 40, and then it went to 80. This is just the way things go, especially when you're dealing with these crazy runners here. I maintain that if you're a newer trader or if you're a trader that doesn't day trade every day for whatever reason, just because of your experience or your account balance or whatever the case is, stocks like Octo are definitely stocks that you want to stay away from, in particular on the day when they're going crazy, because it's going to be very, very easy to hold a bag on a stock like that. Nonetheless, yesterday it ended up working. So if you got that, congratulations. But again, I think that there's a big, big takeaway here. And one of the common focuses that we're always going to focus on is going to be risk preservation. And there was no universe yesterday where I was going to be supportive of newer traders or non-confident traders buying some stock up several %. So again, if you got it, congrats. If you missed it, don't be kicking yourself. There's going to be plenty of other opportunities that are actually probably going to be easier to read and diagnose than Octo was yesterday. Zach, good morning. Welcome back. Billy, good morning. Welcome back. CWD and MMA, two of those big movers that I was referencing earlier. We're definitely going to take a look at that when we break down the movers. Let's see how they settle out here across the rest of the pre-market. 3D, buenos dias. Good morning. It's great to see you again. Smash up that like and subscribe, folks. I don't think I ask you enough. 3D does a really good job of picking up the slack for me and the rest of the group here. So please help us exploit that algorithm. And if you made money on Octo or any of the stocks that we talked about yesterday, please smash up that like and tell your friends. Big Dave, good morning. Welcome back. Chuck, good morning. Welcome back. Empyrean, good morning. Welcome back. Bernhard, good morning. Sideshow, good morning. Graph, good morning. Wiss, it's great to see you again. Boy, your Braves really put the Cubs in the hurt locker last night. Jane, good morning. Durkus, good morning. Ryan, good morning. Just passing through, good morning. Neville, welcome back. It's good to see you. GB Slice, very good morning indeed. Welcome back. Lambo Rolls, good to have you back, boss. What's on your watch list here today? Raffle, good morning. Austin, good as always, every day, my man. Welcome back. Son of God, Fishermen of Men. That's a fun YouTube handle to say. Good morning. Welcome back. Buffalo by Bicycle, welcome back. Rich, it's good to see you as always. Harley, good to see you as always. Big B's locked in. Waiting to make some more money here today. Good to see you again, Big B's. Hector, Good morning. Welcome back. Day Trader, good to see you. Day Trader, we got more token news here today, more crypto treasury strategy news driving some of these stocks here today. Curious as to what you think about that, as well as the guest yesterday. JL, good morning. Welcome back. Fact checker. Good morning. I'm glad that you said this. I'm assuming that you're talking about my little monologue there about Octo. Look, I've had my fair share of these throughout the course of my career. I've had a couple that have worked. I've had a couple that I've bag-holded on, and I've had more than I can count that I have missed. And I've been in the same spot. I missed it. That could have changed my life. This, that, and the other thing. It could. But again, it's not a repeatable. It almost seems like a black swan event. And our focus here is going to be to try and make you better consistently, as opposed to just better on a one-time luck shot or something of that nature. So don't worry. There will be other opportunities for you. And as you process that information, we're going to take advantage of those. No problem at all. Zoo, good morning. Good to see you again. Adit, good morning. Cam, good morning. Kenneth, good morning. Nomad and Ethan, good morning. Smita, Glass Half Full, and Keith, good morning. Jessica, good morning. Get to the choppa, indeed, buddy. Good morning. Zabeth, good morning. JL, good morning. Keith, good morning. Yassine, welcome back. Michelle, good morning. Michelle says, how do you feel about the Bears president moving the team to Arlington Heights? I have kind of a hot take on that. I am all for that. If you've ever tried to see a game at Soldier Field, whether it's a football game or otherwise, frankly, I actually saw a soccer game there a couple of years ago. It's a terrible venue. It's old. It's hard to get out of. The reason I don't go to more games is because you actually spend more time traveling and in traffic than you do watching the game itself. A move to Arlington Heights not only puts it closer to where I live, but also gives the team a lot of opportunity to make other things around the stadium, as well as make the experience better for patrons. So I'm all for that. I am all for that. Chicago is a corrupt city. And getting out of there, I think, would send a message. Not the take that everyone has, but that's mine. Vesna, good morning. Whisk, good morning. Francis, good morning. And as Yassine is saying, please hit that like button. Please hit that like button. It's free. Brian says, are you from Chicago originally, Rye? Yes, I am. Born and raised, brother. Born and raised. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stock market today. All right, we are here. We are back on Tuesday morning, September 9th, and the futures slightly green. S&P futures here up 0.11%. We are actually less than 0.5% from all-time highs, for context, with the S&P 500. But the S&P futures here up 0.11%. Dow futures up 0.11% as well. And the NASDAQ futures leading the way higher, up 0.2. Sectors that gained on Tuesday saw information technology and consumer discretionary stocks buck the overall market trend and close higher, while most S&P 500 sectors closed negatively, with utilities, real estate, and communication services stocks recording the biggest losses. Still, U.S. stocks settled higher, the Dow Jones Index gaining more than 100 points ahead of the busy week of economic reports leading up to next week's Fed Reserve meeting. The NASDAQ composite also settled at a record high. Broadcom continued its rally, climbing another 3.2% following Friday's 9.4% surge from blockbuster earnings, and is on track for its best two-day performance since April 9th. One other thing about Broadcom, just as an aside, very positive seasonality through December. So continuing its strong move here. Robinhood soared around 16%, the biggest one-day gain in 5 months. That came on the back of its news of its addition to the S&P 500 index. On the economic front, the U.S. Manheim Used Vehicle Index was reported as flat for August when compared to the previous months. Now, investors today are gearing up for Apple's annual September gathering. This year, it's dubbed Awe-Dropping event. and it's set to begin later today. We'll see how awe-dropping it is. We're actually expecting a new iPhone out of that event. Additionally, the market is waiting for the crucial Producers Price Index and consumer price inflation data to be released on Wednesday and Thursday, respectively. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.06%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.5%. All right, we'll start off with the SPY chart here. As mentioned, we are less than 0.5% from all-time highs, and yesterday, we just had an inside day. So if we take a look at your daily chart here for the SPY, you'll realize today we are actually still a little bit higher here with all the stuff going on. But really the key here is that we did not set a new all-time high yesterday. We stayed under that. But on the flip side, we stayed above the 20-day moving average. And this has really been a good tell for a market trend. And if you take a look back here, this has held really the 20-day moving average going back to January of this year through the end of February. It was a little bit choppy around that, but ever since that, the 20-day moving average has really dictated the trend. This is why we're checking in on this every single day, and we stayed above that level. That value there, 644 and a quarter. We're currently at 649.59 here in the pre-market. So we'll see if we stay inside Friday's candle. That had a high of 652.21. That is going to be your key upside level. If we're able to take that out, perhaps we can extend our gains a little bit. But as we mentioned in the stock market today segment, we are really waiting for some of these important inflation data points that start tomorrow and then the day after. So this is kind of where we're at with the SPY. We did a really good job yesterday, kind of watching the market, seeing how that affected some of our other plays. Remember, one of the things we've really been focused on days, especially when the market is weak, it should actually be easier for us to find relative strength amongst that weakness. This is exactly what we're going to keep doing here. Right now, we're showing basically unchanged here in the pre-market. Let's get to some insights here from analysts. Renowned economic professor Jeremy Siegel believes the stock market received exactly the news it needed last week, confirming an economic slowdown that paves the way for the Fed to begin cutting interest rates. In this week's commentary, Siegel argued that this environment is a tailwind for stocks, with a series of rate cuts expected by the end of the year. Now, according to Siegel, recent economic data shows a decisive deceleration rather than a collapse. He points to several key indicators that include softer payroll gains, persistent weakness in manufacturing, a rise in the U6 unemployment rate to 8.1% that indicates more slack in the job market, and there has been a significant cooling in healthcare hiring, which has been a major driver of job creation over the past year. This slowdown makes a September rate cut, quote, nearly a certainty, end quote, in his view. Siegel forecasts 3 25 basis point cuts this year, one in September, followed by 2 more in the subsequent meetings, which would be October and December. He maintained that the policy debate has decisively shifted towards the weakening labor market. So even as an unexpected rise in the upcoming CPI or PPI inflation report should not derail the Fed's path. Couple of key takeaways from this. First of all, I think he's absolutely right about the CPI and the PPI comment that he made there about that derailing rate cuts. I think that's a given now. We're definitely getting that. We talked a little bit yesterday about a potential 50 bips cut versus the 25. And while that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, it looks like the market is actually still forecasting multiple. I don't know if I'm there yet with the 3 cuts. I'm thinking 2. That's kind of what I've thought for a while here, so I'm probably going to stay on that. We know that no matter what they end up doing, they're going to continue to say that they're data dependent. So we'll play it by ear here. But again, I think as far as September goes, the die has been cast, as they say. I believe we're getting a 25 bips cut over a 50. And I don't think that any of the prints that we get either tomorrow or the day after are going to alter that. My 2 cents on that. The bond market is already anticipating the shift as well, with the 10-year Treasury yield falling towards its cycle near low 4%, to its cycle low, which is near 4%. Easy for me to say. Siegel notes that this is a classic sign of investors pricing in easier monetary policy as economic growth weakens. He advocates for the Fed to eventually bring the policy rate below 3%, arguing that restrictive rates are unnecessary with inflation trending between 2 and 3%. For investors, Siegel outlines a straightforward bullish case for equities, and it is as follows. First of all, we've got favorable conditions here. An easing of financial conditions led by the bond market is bullish for stocks through the economics, or though the economic slowdown will likely, quote, keep a cap on any exuberance, end quote. There's also a broadening rally, and this is something that we've talked about here on the show. While tech leadership remains intact, the rally's breadth should improve. The best performance is expected for small caps and cyclicals, which have lagged in the high interest rate environments. And frankly, this would be great. More of a continued rotation out of big-time mega cap tech winners actually bodes well for more risk on, especially for some of those small caps. And that could be great for our group here, especially when we're trying to capture more of those wealth moves instead of the daily like little scalps or little trades that we make on some of these junkier stocks. What they're talking about right here would be an ideal situation, and we definitely want to see that materialize. The S&P 500's forecast, Siegel's base case for the S&P 500 grinding higher into the end of the year. That would make sense. And I also want to caution folks, grinding higher, finishing the year higher, moving higher, whatever they choose to talk about for naming this, that doesn't mean that we're not going to see pullbacks in that time. So we should absolutely expect that. If you have a bullish view on everything and we end up getting a pullback, I suspect that we would look at that as a buying opportunity, but we'll use the charts to help us out with some of those levels. The ultimate bull case, Siegel concludes, would be a reacceleration in productivity combined with the Fed's easing policy, which would create, quote, disinflationary growth and multiple expansion, end quote. While this scenario is very much alive, he adds a note of caution stating we are closer to the top of this bull run than the April bottom. Now, this is something else that we've started to discuss here on the show. We've really discussed it in depth in Happy Hour. We're starting to see that dash for trash, right? We're starting to see these junky names move, and it's not just one of them. It's a handful of them. We got it yesterday. We got it again here today. A lot of traders think that this is the sign that we are at a near-term top for the market. So again, when we talk about protecting gains, when we talk about staying nimble, these are the types of things that we mention. We're not going to fight a trend. That's silly. But we're not going to put blinders on to the rest of what's going on out there. Meanwhile, in a recent interview, the University of Michigan professor Justin Wolfers cautioned that Americans could soon get, quote, two bad tastes at the same time, rising unemployment and rising inflation, end quote. He is still banging that drum. He explained that the ingredients for this challenging scenario are already present, and he broke down the the dual nature of stagflation, describing a mix of economic stagnation and persistent inflation. Just on general principle, I'm simply not going to force the group to watch anything from CNN. Let's go ahead and take a look at NBIS. This is probably the biggest news that we got in terms of single stock news. NBIS has been another really kind of a great mover for us. This has had it all. This has been a day trader. This has been a good scalp. This has been a mover on news. This has been a decent swing. Remember, this originated, again, another big shout out to Zoltan, who works on our news desk. We uncovered this stock for the first time on Happy Hour when the stock was in a 17 handle. In fact, my first buy here was 17.50, sold it in the mid 20s, and yeah, I'm regretting that here today. NBIS, huge move. If we back out and we take a look at the chart, you can see how great this chart has behaved. We recently had a little island formation that held. We were basically pushing up against a downward sloping trend line, a near-term trend line here. And then with the news here today, a big move higher. 100, absolutely within sight. We're currently trading at 99.20 here today. The round 100 number, you've heard it from a whole bunch of people over the years. That's going to likely come into play here again. Now let's take a look at the news here. Nebius Group, ticker NBIS, shares soared in Monday's extended trading session after the company disclosed a major contract with Microsoft. So again, this news dropping in the after hours yesterday, this thing really, really ripping. In fact, pretty sure that this thing put in a ridiculous high yesterday in the after hours. Let me see if I can grab that for you. Indeed, 109.07 was your impulse high. So just kind of looking ahead here to today, I think 100 represents a possible support level, and we'll see if we get to the after-hours session high from yesterday. NBIS has entered into an agreement with Microsoft to provide dedicated GPU infrastructure capacity in phases at its new Vineland, New Jersey data center over a 5-year term. The agreement has an estimated total contract value of approximately $17.4 billion through 2031. So really just a huge contract here. This basically validates the business model here for NBIS. Really good news all around. Congrats to anyone that was swinging this. I know we've talked about this and traded this quite a bit. I know our friends at Story Trading have talked about this quite a bit. I know a lot of FinTwit traders are out there are on this. So pretty huge day here today for NBIS. The rollout of the GPU services will occur in multiple tranches during 2025 and 2026, and Microsoft also retains the option to purchase additional services or capacity, which could increase the total contract value to approximately $19.4 billion. So in addition to the really good news, there's actually a little bit more room on the upside there. NBIS said cash flow generated under the agreement will be used to help fund a portion of the capital expenditures tied to the project. Rocketed over 50% yesterday. We'll see how it settles out here today. I definitely think this is going to be in play here today. Volume should be present on this. There should be a lot of people talking about this and looking at it. That is for sure. So NBIS, if you had it, congrats. If you didn't, maybe there's a trade here today. But again, just be careful. This thing's moving pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, some more news here. You might have heard this yesterday. This actually broke while we were on happy hour yesterday. I mentioned it, but a little bit more of a follow-up here today. NASDAQ submitted a filing to the Securities and Exchange Commission on Monday to allow trading of tokenized securities on its stock market platform. NDAC is the ticker there, and it's gaining positive momentum following that breaking news. The company proposed allowing member firms and investors to tokenize the equity, securities, and exchange-traded products that they trade on the NASDAQ stock exchange, according to an official announcement. Quote, our goal is to integrate digital assets into NASDAQ's current infrastructure and systems, which will advance financial innovation while maintaining stability, fairness, and investor protection. I'll be honest, at least from that quote, a lot of jargon in there, not a whole lot of specifics. That came from Chuck Mack, NASDAQ's Senior Vice President of North American Markets. NASDAQ, or ticker NDAQ, by the way, here, closed at $94.99, currently bid $95.21 in the pre-market here today. So that is also up fractionally in the pre-market. Generally doesn't trade on a whole lot of volume, but maybe worth watching today just to see how it performs. Mack added that the proposed changes will allow investors to choose whether they want stock represented in a tokenized form or a traditional digital form. If they opt for the tokenized method, the Depository Trust Corporation will do the back-end work and list the assets as blockchain-based tokens. Another win for the blockchain group, who's been saying from the very beginning that even if you think Bitcoin is a pyramid scheme, the reality is blockchain isn't going anywhere. We have even more evidence of that now. All shares, irrespective of their form, will be traded on NASDAQ under the same order entry and execution rules. They will also bear the same identification number and offer holders the same rights and benefits as traditional shares. Quote, blockchain technology can provide a number of potential efficiencies, including faster settlements, improved audit trails, and more streamlined flow from order to trade to settlement. Again, that comes from Chuck Mack. So we'll see here. It seems like most of the benefits would really be in settlement and accessing some of the funds, particularly after closed trades here. It's going to use blockchain technology to promote efficiencies. We'll see how that goes. Doesn't sound like anything else is going to change. Should be business as usual as far as we're concerned from the other end of the terminal. NASDAQ's filing comes amid a sustained push by American companies to expose investors to tokenized stocks. Robinhood launched tokenized stocks for its European customers, the highlight being blockchain-powered equities of companies such as OpenAI and SpaceX. However, the push was met with criticism. Last month, the World Federation of Exchanges, the global industry association for exchanges and clearinghouses, urged regulators to tighten oversight of tokenized equities, warning that these blockchain-based products could mislead investors and undermine market integrity. I'm not sure how it could actually do that. Maybe some of you can provide the counterpoint here, but they didn't. Earlier this month, the executive director of the European Securities and Markets Authority expressed concerns that tokenized stock offerings could potentially lead to investor misunderstanding. You know, that old pesky misunderstanding of investors can't possibly be anything else's fault except for the investor. I kid here. Let me know if you think that this tokenized stocks change here is going to represent anything. I'll be honest, from where I sit here, this kind of feels like much ado about nothing, to be quite honest with you. All right, now we're going to get to everyone's favorite stock here, Octo, the big mover from yesterday. Let's talk about it a little bit. AAPL Holdings shares rallied in Tuesday's pre-market trading following a stunning 3,000% rally during Monday's regular session. Octo closed at 45.08, and in the pre-market here today, bid 50.30 right now. So it is actually up $5 from yesterday's close. Of course, we've got plenty of time here till the market opens. The stock's going to be wild all day. So if you don't like the price, just check on it 5 minutes later. It'll be different. Octo is among today's top performers. The stock jumped over 20% in pre-market trading, adding to its gains from the previous day's spectacular trading session. It jumped to a high of 83.12 at some point. Boy, I wonder how the buyers at 83.12 are feeling here today, marking an eye-popping 5,632.41% gain. Not a typo, 5,632%. AAPL announced plans to raise $250 million through a private placement to adopt World, ticker WLD, cryptocurrency token as its primary reserve asset. A day trader, you'll have to let me know what you think about this token. I don't know much about it. Becoming the first company to pursue such a strategy. The firm intends to change the NASDAQ trading symbol of its common stock to ORBS, ORBS, a reference to the iris scanning devices used by World to verify human uniqueness. Now, this is probably what's really adding to this. AAPL also appointed veteran Wall Street analyst and permabull Dan Ives as chairman of the board. In an interview, Ives stated that he was, quote, excited, end quote, to take over the role and expressed hope about World Network's long-term prospects in AI. Meanwhile, BMNR, Bitmine Immersion Technologies, disclosed a $20 million strategic investment into AAPL as the first moonshot initiative in its Ethereum ecosystem expansion plans. So let me know what you think about that as well. So Octo, this was without a doubt the biggest issue from yesterday. We'll see if we get a repeat of that or if we get some more action here today. And actually, let's go back to the chart here real quick. We've got some time. We're going to cover the Apple story as well. This is what the Octo daily chart looks like. Not a whole lot in there. When we look at the intraday chart, though, this actually becomes pretty clear. The first thing that you'll notice right away is that in the pre-market here, yep, we started off by breaking a trend line. We'll see. Oh, yep. Well, we'll see how that changes, and we'll see what other drawings we can get here. Taking a look at the rest of the pre-market here, sure looks like this 54 to 55 handle is your near-term resistance on ticker OCTO. Now we'll talk about Apple here. This is the big event of the day, and I'm definitely curious. Producer, maybe we should come up with a poll for this one, whether we think the announcements will be good. We could even come up with something on how Apple's going to trade after this. Maybe this is a buy the rumors, sell the news, and we kind of trade up leading into the event in a number of different ways. Maybe we'll come up with a poll here. Help me out. You're really good with polls. Apple's awe-dropping event. Maybe that's what we should make the poll about. Is it actually going to be awe-dropping or not? Apple is gearing up to unveil its iPhone 17 lineup at Tuesday's, quote, awe-dropping, end quote, event. And leaks suggest it could be one of the company's boldest refreshes in years. But this is what you should expect. The Cupertino tech giant will host its annual product showcase on today, September 9th, at the Steve Jobs Theater, starting at 10 a.m. Pacific I believe that's 1 p.m. Eastern, if my math is correct. The iPhone 17 series is expected to feature 4 models: the iPhone 17, iPhone 17 Air, the iPhone 17 Pro, and the iPhone 17 Pro Max, alongside a new Apple Watch edition and redesigned AirPod Pro 3. The star of the lineup could be an iPhone 17 Air, rumored to be the thinnest flagship phone Apple has ever made, drawing inspiration from the MacBook Air. Let me know if you folks were in your new phone, in your new technology, were you asking for a thinner phone? Asking for a friend there. Here's some other things that you can expect. ProMotion display comes to the base model. Apple's 120 hertz ProMotion display, which is long exclusive to the Pro editions, may finally reach the standard iPhone 17. Reports say Apple will use an LTPO OLED panel, allowing dynamic refresh rates from 1 hertz to 120 hertz. This should improve the visuals, but also battery efficiency. And I think that's the big thing there with that one. They're also, and this is probably a big thing, especially for anyone that considers themselves an influencer, major selfie camera upgrade. The iPhone 17 may ditch the 12 megapixel front-facing camera that it's used since 2019 in favor of a 24 megapixel sensor with 6-element lenses. The shift promises sharper selfies and clearer video calls. I joke a little bit about the influencers and the selfies and all of that. The video calls should probably help. I know they actually do interviews on CNBC using this, so to have the base maybe risen there should be good for everybody. We'll see. We're also expecting a bigger screen and a slimmer frame. Leaks suggest the display could grow from 6.1 inches to 6.6 inches without increasing the phone's footprint, thanks to metal lens technology that reduces the size of Face ID and dynamic island components. A thinner aluminum frame could also make the device lighter. Apple is reportedly moving away from third-party Wi-Fi solutions by launching its in-house Wi-Fi 7 chip in the iPhone 17 series. Faster speeds, lower latency, and smoother connectivity across Apple devices are expected. This is one of the features that gets talked about quite a bit, so it'll be very interesting to see what kind of performance they actually get from this as opposed to what they're just touting. They also talk about faster charging and a new A19 chip. Performance gains could come via the A19 chipset, though some reports suggest the base model may still use the A18. You might have to pony up to get that new chip there, and that's not new. We see that quite a bit from some of these companies. More notably, Apple is rumored to introduce a 50-watt wireless charging, double that of the iPhone 16, and faster than the Samsung Galaxy S25. I will say here, faster charging is almost always good. It does put more strain on the battery, and I'm not sold on wireless charging. In my experience from Apple and Samsung and other devices, wireless charging actually reduces the lifespan of the battery, and as a result, I opt not to use it very much. Cam here says faster charging for a faster dying battery. And Cam, I see the same thing in practice. Not a huge fan of wireless charging. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Y'all folks can let me know what you think about that. But stop me if you've heard this before. Analysts are saying that the AI is still missing. Now, I suppose we should mention before we go into this, there's a chance we get a hint of something, but I really wouldn't expect any new full-featured AI features here today. Despite the excitement over the design and hardware, some investors remain skeptical. Andreessen Capital's Peter Andreessen told CNBC that Apple's focus on incremental upgrades is, quote, ignoring the elephant in the room, end quote. It's lagging AI efforts. Now, I will say in defense of Apple here, they seem to have other AI plans on a parallel track. And in fact, they've told us about that recently. There's been rumors about them maybe adding Perplexity or merging with another already existing large language model to then boost the usability of Siri. Again, we'll see if that all materializes. Maybe they make some type of small incremental change here today. We'll see. We'll see on that. Wedbush's analyst Dan Ives also called Apple's AI strategy a, quote, disaster, while others argue that the company could regain ground once Siri integrates Google's Gemini model in 2026. I spoke about the potential rumor of Perplexity, but the Google Gemini was also news that we got here recently. So we'll see what Apple does here today. Taking a look at the chart, let's move away from Octo and take a look at Apple just to kind of get our bearings here. Apple looks like it tried to go back to unchanged here in the pre-market, falling a little bit down about 0.4% here. And if we take a look on a larger time frame, you can actually see that we're still above the 233 breakout spot. We're also still above 235, which has ended up being a key level here for Apple. So we'll see if any of those levels get breached here today. As mentioned earlier, it's Tuesday. Y'all know what that means. It's a T3 Tuesday. And today we are going to bring back the one and only Red Dog. Maybe we'll ask him about Apple. Tight. Oh man,
hold on, I can't hear yet. Hold on one second.
I was gonna say I expected Eye of the Tiger to be playing. I expected Sweat to be dripping down, maybe doing some curls there. Red Dog coming in. He's getting ready. He's told us about that. He's coming in ready here. Red Dog, how you doing this morning?
Good. I just got the volume up. Sorry about that.
No, you're all good, man. You're getting me pumped up here, and Lord knows I need it after watching my Bears flounder away another game last night. Hopefully you had a better Monday night than I did. Let me start off by asking you here about the SPY. I know you've got it up here. We're less than 0.5% from all-time highs. What do you see here? What are the levels? What do you think takes place today?
I'll probably have another inside day. I figured yesterday would be an inside day after the 3-4 day move into Fridays, where they kind of sold the news a little bit or just sold strength into the jobs report. So I was hoping it wouldn't be like breakout failure, that we would get digestion, because there's been a lot of good stock movement. So when the indices kind of digest, you could then play stocks because the market's not bullying it around upside or downside. So I would say for today, if you look here, let's just quickly go to the SPYs. They're up 72 cents. They're kind of non-event, so that's good as long as we hold 647-ish, which, you can go sideways, and then you could play whatever names you have long or short active sequences on. The Qs real quickly, had a little bit of relative strength yesterday. It's kind of hanging out here. It's, it could, even if it were to break 580-ish, there'd be some pressure, but then the 8 days down there wouldn't be such a big deal. So you just got to know how active you want to be. But ultimately, the Qs are good. Yesterday, I was on Spaces, and I was talking about a little bit of a rotation trade, because we caught the rotation trade in the XBI. Some guys did IWM. I didn't. XIII was great. I was like, hey, this XLV, after the move we saw in the XBI, it held the gap here at 136. You could buy some cheap options. Gets above the 200-day. Maybe there's a trade as far as sector money opportunities. Sometimes you get some cheap sector money opportunities, and I think this XLV, and now you have the news on UNH, it'll probably help the sector today.
Okay, real good breakdown there. Let me ask you about the biggest of, well, you know what? Let me take a step back there. You talked a little bit about the inside day there. Are you doing anything to prepare for these big data prints that we're getting Tuesday and Wednesday in the CPI and the PPI, or is this just we'll see what happens and we'll trade whatever hand we're dealt?
No, well, you go back to the SPYs. I'm in a bunch of stuff. Like if you look here, here's the alpha team. So it's not like I've been doing this for 30 years. I told you I kind of treat my account as like I'm a small portfolio manager, where depending on what's going on, I can handle positions. I can have options around positions, and I don't. If you get flat into every binary event we have now, whether it's a jobs report, whether it's a Trump thing, whether it's a CPI, a PPI, you're never going to be in anything. So if you day trade, that's another thing. Like if you're in the business for 6 months or a year or 2 years, and you want to just net money every day and trade volume filters and this and that, that's cool. But I try and have my go-to list of 40 names and massage things and keep on swing trades depending on how they're going. And right now, I'm just kind of trying to see if I can massage these positions where, again, if we have an inside day in the SPYs and the Qs, the 2 days I could trade my names, and then, we'll see what we do tomorrow, because, so the way I've been kind of like hedging is I sell some premium above, but I'm not going to sell premium above when you can have an outsized move, which could happen tomorrow. So I figured today would be inside. So I have to figure out what I want to hold a little bit, because the PPI is at 830. Instead of selling premium, maybe I buy some puts, because you can't buy the VIX as a hedge. It's just friggin' broken and never works.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks that. Holy smokes.
Holy smokes. Yeah. You could be right on the VIX for a day and
Yeah.
that's it. And you have to time it perfectly. You might, but anyway, so depending on your risk and your time frame, when you have like a an event like the PPI and CPI that's coming out, you also have revisions today. You have to know what you can handle, and and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Speaking of events here, the big thing that people are waiting for seems to be the Apple event. Do you have any levels here on Apple that you're looking for? I know you just showed all of your holdings there. I couldn't quite tell if Apple was on it. Sorry, my eyes might be going a little bit, but let me know what you see here in the chart.
I took off Apple yesterday.
Okay.
Apple's been great.
Perfect.
Like Apple has been horrible, to be honest. Not horrible, but during this, that's what's going on right now in the market. Every month or 2 months is different specific trades. You could not be long Apple from March all the way down to the lows of April, and that's when you wanted to be long like Meta and Microsoft. And then right here, when August 6th, when Apple ignited, then you were able to be long Apple. You were able to actually Google too, and then Meta and Microsoft became horrible, and Tesla's been a choppy mess. So it's just like you have to pick and choose. And then you had a nice trade in Nvidia, and now Nvidia is not there. So it's as a trader, you have to find the specific action. But for now, what I would like to do, I don't know if it's going to happen. I've been trading Apple for a long time. Apple's only down 16 cents. Typically, what they try and do is they always try and sell the event. It's never good enough, never revolutionary. It's just evolutionary, and they sell it down. And then the next day it kind of gaps up and the buyback machine goes on, and usually it's better. So if we're at 237 from 241, if they could push us down to, this gap area, what I might do is I might go out and just buy some calls out a few weeks that are cheaper because it's down, and then see how it reacts a day or so after.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff there on Apple. The next one that I want to talk about is Tesla. I know the last time that we talked to you, you said you bought that for the first time in a while. I guess I'm just wondering if you're still in kind of stay away mode here, or as we really kind of approach that 350 to 360 area, are you looking for maybe another move here in Tesla?
Well, this is when it was awesome. Like this was, I think, the last time we spoke in May, and it got above this 285-ish and had a big move to 367 above the 8-day Fast and Furious. And since then, it's been going sideways as their EV business slows, as the whole EV market kind of slows, and they're trying to get a different identity. So I will say yesterday I did lose a little bit of money because I thought it was going to break above this 355, 357, and it didn't. So I didn't buy the shares. I actually bought options, so I bought a little bit more. Maybe it needs a little time to digest from 325, go a little sideways. So, I keep my eyes here. It'd be nice if it could just have like a normal day where it's up a little bit. Right now, it's up 238, so that's good. If it could hold and push, I think that it's been going sideways long enough that that we could get a good upside. I don't want to miss it. That's why I went out and I bought calls for Friday, and we'll see if today's got better traction. It just wasn't ready to break out yesterday.
Okay. Good stuff there, folks. Trade the lead up to and the aftermath of the Fed meeting live with Scott Redler, totally free, September 16th through 19th. I got the link in the chat there. Don't have the QR code on the screen, and we'll be sure to get you that. All right, Scott, actually, the last time that we were together was at the end of August there. One of the things that we had talked about was NVIDIA. That was right before the earnings, and you wanted to see how it played out there. So follow up, got to ask you, what do you think of how it played out, and what are you looking at going forward here? Ticker NVDA.
NVIDIA was the money trade in NVIDIA was right around here, right around when it broke above 146, took out 149, 153, and gave you a big move. I don't remember exactly what day. Oh, this was the earnings trade. I didn't take options into it. I just didn't think the setup was there. Had a loose and wide day, and then really just got a little pressured. But it's good to see that the market could ignore NVIDIA, that the narrative's changed, that if NVIDIA is not going up, nothing can go up. It's more like, hey, Avago came out and said, they're going to be selling chips, to whoever needs them. And then Baba says they have a chip that could compete. So all of a sudden, I like to see the fact that, NVIDIA came in and the market held in. But for now, when it makes lower lows, the market cares. But when it's just kind of out of play, things could work. So I'd like to see it hold 164. If it can hold 164, go sideways, market's not going to care too much. But if it breaks below that, you could see some pressure come in on tech. That's what you saw on Friday. If you remember, you were seeing some relative weakness in NVIDIA as the market went back to highs. Then we opened up on Friday and NVIDIA broke 167. It kind of brought out sellers, and that's why they sold strength on Friday. So anyway, I am thinking at some point there might be a China deal at some point.
Okay.
The news that they had on their conference call that there's a few $1 billion waiting to be made by selling chips to China. That could happen at some point. So if you feel like you might miss that, maybe you go out and buy some options a little bit higher, but only do that with money you're willing to burn.
Okay. You talked a little bit about XLV already. Can we take a look at the UNH chart? It does kind of look like that's looking to trade higher here and maybe breakout. Maybe you can give us some levels for this.
Yeah. Like I talked about this the other day, guys made good money. I'm like, you guys could be long versus gap here, 294. There was some news like a week ago that got absorbed. I'm like, this thing looks like it's going to at least 324. If not, I wouldn't be surprised if it fills the gap and works towards the 200 days. So this has been a broken bottom trade. Some people are like, hey, Red Dog, how does a new active sequence start? Well, a new active sequence could be started and reborn with a big gap that never gets filled because it shows commitment to the direction of that gap. And that's what we have going on right there with UNH.
Okay, UNH, this actually looks pretty good. I know our group has traded UNH quite a bit, so we'd like to see that perform pretty well. Let me ask you, given yesterday's session, we saw a lot of these really kind of crazy smaller market cap stocks move like crazy. OCTO was the big one yesterday. We've got CWD printing 40s in the pre-market here today, which seems ridiculous. Two questions here. Number one, do you ever take advantage? Do you ever trade any of these things? What can you tell us if you do? And then perhaps on a larger point here, are you worried at all that this is kind of indicative of a near-term market top, the dash for trash?
Well, you don't know if this is actually trash. This is like a new sector. This whole treasury thing for crypto, it's a hot group now. It's kind of like the SPACs. When the SPACs came out, Chamath had 100 of them. The first 10 were awesome. The last 90 were zeros. So right now you have Tom Lee, who thinks he's the man, and Dan Ives coming out, putting together this OCTO. And it was great and sexy yesterday, but a lot of these things have a peak and then they die out and then they build new bases, kind of like BMNR. Look at what BMNR did. It had its big move, went to 160. If you said, oh, it's going to 500, it broke 111 and you probably got stopped out to 30. Then it rebuilds and gets a life, which is looks at what this is trying to do. So, there are a few day moves and then you have to wait for it to settle down. But there are people who make a living. Someone picked this up when it was $20, even on the alpha team. They're like, hey, look at this. They're doing a treasury for Chainlink and they just made 20 points. They can't take it away if you take it and run. But if you buy 45s and it goes to 28, hey, that's the world you're living in. So I personally don't live in this world that much.
Okay.
I'd rather be in, mega cap tech, the semis, Palantir, Robinhood, so I trade crypto, the ETFs, the underlying, but every now and then, I bought this BMNR into the 40s and I bought options and I trimmed into it yesterday. So there are technical plays you can make with these type of names, but only when there's a good setup and you feel like you can handle it. And we'll see how it goes. So far, this is pretty, you could have just bought it at 42 and sold it at 50 and made your day. Again, we'll see.
This stock, when I first sat down at my computer and I was watching this move, I was like, stock at 450 here. Maybe we'll take a stab at that. Could have loaded the boat there at 450 and your day, week, maybe even month would have been made. All right, Red Dog, anything else you got on the docket that I maybe didn't cover here?
Well, let's real quickly talk about NBIS. NBIS had to deal with Microsoft. This one, also was a newer name. Look how this was a new name. This came out in 2024. Sometimes new names happen. You put them on your go-to list. You learn how they trade. They get comfortable with them. I remember trading this right around here. We had a good trade, and then it kind of got choppy. Had a good earnings play. I'm not in this, unfortunately, but there are guys that are in it versus 62 because that's the strategy. When you have a big pro earnings gap and it holds, it goes sideways, you can hold a swing. If you're not that active, if you don't trade for a living. I will say sympathy plays. A lot of my guys have been playing IREN, another newer name. It's up a bunch. I don't know if you buy it up here, but it seems pretty good. So just new names. Everyone's like, Red Dog, how do you get new names in your go-to list? Well, this is a newer name. And I have to say, I'm in Wolf. And If you look at the chart here, just look at the chart. It's holding 860. It looks pretty good. Then someone in my alpha team who you could be a member of for free next week and watch is like, Red Dog, look at the weekly chart of Wolf. So look at the weekly chart. The weekly chart looks pretty damn good.
Sure does.
It just broke out. It's got a bull flag. Why can't this see 14? I'm not even saying 25 or 43, but this is AI that, Google has a stake in them. There could be, and be another few deals out there. So, I'm going to do a little bit more homework on this and try and keep some and maybe buy some options because, again, some of these names, have more of a life than just a trade.
Okay. Real good stuff. As always, Red Dog, you never disappoint. We appreciate that. Trade the lead up to and the aftermath of the Fed meeting live with Scott Redler, totally free. That spends time joining us here. That's September 16th through 19th. I'll go ahead and throw the link in the chat. Red Dog, have yourself a great Tuesday, a rest of the week. We'll catch up with you next time. Stay green, buddy.
You as well. By the way, one of your guys, wanted to correct me, so I like to be corrected. It's not NVIDIA, it's NVIDIA. So if you want to say and look like you're smart, it's NVIDIA, not NVIDIA. So thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
We appreciate that.
Trying to make me look good. I get it.
Yeah, it is awesome. Red Dog, thanks very much for everything. We'll catch you next time. All right. Have a good one. That is Scott Redler from T3. The guys are great. Like that little jab there. There you go. The man from Snowy River. Don't say that you guys never get seen here. You absolutely do. Really good breakdown there. All right, folks, that does it for the news. That does it for some of these bigger stocks. We can go ahead and take a look at some of the movers. We'll start with some of the crazy ones, and then we'll get 13's opinion when he rolls out of bed here. I think the first one that we're going to start with here, definitely going to be CWD. Now, if you were a little bit late here today or you've kind of missed what's going on, this is Caliber Co. Caliber shares are trading higher after the company compiled its initial purchase of Chainlink tokens as part of its digital asset treasury strategy. So we had Tim Koltzman on yesterday and Ed Julien, and we talked about this. This is clearly a emerging theme here. They're now doing unconferences about it. We see multiple of these names with this type of theme just do absolutely crazy things. This thing's already trading like Octo from yesterday. I saw somebody mention that in the chat. Indeed, it is. Look at the move here that we are seeing. As I mentioned, when I took a look at this morning, I was still rubbing my eyes, still waking up. I'm like, that had a nice little spike there. Came back into about 450. And then I started preparing for my day. And when I looked at it again, it was 20. And when I looked at it the time after that, it was 40. So wild stuff here. The first thing that I'm going to say before we bring 13 on here is if you're going to trade this here today, I really don't think that it makes sense to necessarily chase the moves up. If this can pull back and hold, then maybe you're going to be in a better spot. But just like we said on Octo yesterday, just make sure that you know what you're trading. Make sure you have your risk parameters aligned before you end up taking this trade. All right, let's go ahead and bring on 13. 13, cat got my tongue there. Good morning. How you doing here this morning? Are you ready for another wild day?
Yeah, it looks like I have no choice. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing this morning? Yeah, the CWD, looking at this one, as you pointed out, another crypto treasury name, but company does need cash, excluding their treasury they just did. This is going to be, like you said, part of a theme, but I also think that with the discussion we had yesterday, we identified, or we were told to watch for some things with some of these movers, in particular, low market capitalization, very low float.
Yep.
That's what a lot of these names that we're seeing moving here today. So I don't expect a lot of this to last, especially some of these other names. Maybe CWD will continue to go on a run. And if it does, I still have targets up at 76. This could run up to. We've already blown through like most of the other ones I've marked off here. So don't know. I wouldn't be trying to pick this up going into the open. I think we could get a pretty ugly pull in the open here. So we'll see if that happens. But once it starts forming some kind of a bottom, after that poll, we'll be able to trade it. But that was CWD. You wanted me to go over some of these other ones?
We're going to actually get to that. I want to clean up a couple of things here first. One of the things that we talked about yesterday in Happy Hour was how we can identify some of these. What common themes do they share? Can we scan for similar type stocks and then maybe try and prepare a list so we can at least be somewhat prepared going into a new session? One of the things that we did yesterday is we used Benzinga Pro, of course, to scan for stocks that have low float and low market cap. It really seems like this combo especially has been one of the things that ignites some of these stocks. And then the other thing we did is we added a column that outlines the stock's short interest. And in this case, I sorted in descending order. So the highest short name there at the top. Came up to SCNI here. This is at the top of the list. There's a bunch of names on this list that if you have Pro, you should definitely go ahead and do that. But we came up with SCNI here today. And I just want to say, I thought to myself, you know what? There's going to be some craziness going on. I'm going to try and grab some of this just on the off chance that it moves. I actually tried to buy this in the pre-market this morning, and with Charles Schwab, Thinkorswim, whatever it is right now, you actually can't even buy this electronically. You have to call your broker for this particular name. However, I kept this thing around for a very specific reason. I'm going to continue to check back on this list and see if any of these names start going. If they do, we'll try and whittle this list down to try and find the next possible mover. So if you have any suggestions on how we can actually increase the filtering ability here and kind of whittle us down to these stocks that seem to be moving, I'm all ears. Just kind of keep that on the back burner there. Okay, let me go back to movers here, 13 real quick. I don't know if I discussed this here real quick regarding CWD, just kind of rounding this off. 9% of the float shorted on this name with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of 4.56. None of that's going to matter. Stock's trading 65 plus or 64 plus million shares and has less than a million shares in the float here.
And,
so, yeah.
And 686,000 shares in the float, 2.84 million market capitalization prior to today.
Yeah.
And they previously announced that they were going to do this on August 28th. So we do have some of these we're scanning for. Check the news feed. They probably said that they were going to do this, and then now they're doing it. You look at August 28th, they say that they're going to purchase this exact type of token for their crypto strategy. So it's not a secret.
No, and that's really good because especially if we really kind of whittle down that scan list, it actually wouldn't be too difficult to maybe go through that and see if there's any news that sets up for that. 13, really good mention there. Also, one more thing to clean up here. Michael's saying, Ryan, did you get that bee sting resolved? Yes, of course I did. I'll be honest with you. It's a reminder that I'm still allergic to bees and not wasps. And I want to thank the group here because I actually used several suggestions that you guys had for home remedies. And by Saturday, it was all set. So that is in the past. Appreciate you even asking, Michael. Okay, 13, where are we going to go next here? Should we just go to DSY, or did you have a specific one that you wanted to take a look at?
DSY, STEC, and JEM, these are all pump and dumps.
Okay, so let's just roll through them real quickly. You're saying the theme for these is pump and dumps. We're going to start with DSY, STEC. What was the last one? LGHL?
JEM.
JEM, which I actually don't even have on here. So we'll pull that one up manually. Okay, starting with DSY here. This is Big Tree Cloud Holding. Shares are trading higher on no news. There was news reported at the end of August about a mixed shelf of up to 100 million, but that's not really coming into play here. Short interest on this name, 0.28% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. 13, do we have anything else that we need to cover on this pump and dump name?
This is another China name, 7 million shares in the float. They recently regained compliance, and that's a thing you're going to see with these other two, is that at one point they had to regain NASDAQ compliance. I think this one, DSY, did it a month or two ago. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was July or August. But then you had S-Tech that also had to regain compliance earlier this year. Same thing with JEM. These are all, I don't know if these are going to even trade well at all. They might, provide some movement out of the gate, but there's no news behind this. There's no real fundamentals behind this, especially with STEC. That company's in the toilet right now. So these are all just low float, retail trade, pump and dump schemes. Please do not get yourself trapped in these. If you feel like there's going to be a good trade setup, that's up to you if you want to take it. But I think there's going to be some far less riskier things that are going to, we're going to be able to trade and not guaranteed to take your money.
Okay, as far as STEC goes, we have a float of 4.3 million here, so actually much higher than CWD, which we already talked about, or DSY. But float here, 4.35 million. Pump and dump, we already kind of talked about that. Short interest here, 2.52%. Let me move on to JEM. This is 70. The name alone should give this one away. I feel like 707 Cayman Holdings here. This was a penny stock yesterday, a 30-cent penny stock, popped above 140, bleeding everything back here. 13, you did a really good job covering it. Definitely a pump and dump. 4.03% of the float shorted here. That comes on 1.19 million shares of average volume. Today we've traded 115. Do we have anything else that we need to go over here for JEM, or have we done a good job outlining what these things are actually doing?
DSY, STEC, JEM, pump and dumps. I think we're done.
Okay, sounds good. Moving on to the next one here is going to be MMA, and this looks like a pump and dump by the price action, but this actually had a news catalyst, so we'll see if this picks up throughout the rest of the day here. Mixed Martial Arts Group shares are trading higher after the company appointed Donald Trump Jr. as a strategic advisor. So we all know that Trump makes appearances at some of those MMA fights. Producer has gone ahead and thrown a graphic here of the new strategic advisor there, getting ready to land some blows there. MMA, this did move above 5, came all the way back in. Really the key here for me so far, 13, we've almost round tripped this entire move. Not quite, but almost. Really the key to me is, can this stock show any type of trend change and move to strength? Can we get above the VWAP? Can we really kind of turn that around? I don't know that we can assume that's the case here so far. We really haven't made an attempt to move towards VWAP. If we do, we'll see what happens. Quick look around the horn on MMA here. 1.57% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of just under 700,000 shares. Today we've traded 34 million. Float here is about 11.5 million. So what do you think here? Ticker MMA.
I think that this is going to be a vehicle for what you said earlier. Whenever Trump goes and attends a UFC fight or an MMA fight of some kind, this is the stock to trade. That's kind of what I'm getting from this, because otherwise I don't know that this is really going to do much. I mean, it might. I didn't haven't look into this too deeply, but what's interesting is that you have a potential UFC fight that's being discussed at the White House. So that might be something interesting if that gains any traction for this company. If there ends up being an MMA fight at the White House, like a UFC event, this one could get going. That's just kind of the thought process I have here. So I don't know how well this will be today, but I think this will be just one of those vehicles that you can trade whenever you hear about, Trump going to a UFC or MMA fight. Kind of like if there was a company that was tied to him whenever he went out golfing, that would run.
Right.
So that's kind of how I'm viewing this one.
Okay, so maybe kind of a stay away. I guess we'll see if it does anything here with the VWAP and moves above it. But this is actually a really good mention. Maybe keep this on your list. If there are rumors floating out there about potential MMA fights or appearances or something like that, maybe this can be a trading vehicle for us for that. Really good stuff here. Okay. Next, we'll do BON. This is Bond Natural Life. We had a nice move off this 160 handle above 350. It's really kind of come back in. Bond Natural Life enters a new non-exclusive cooperation with Huai Kenyun. I'm probably butchering that. Total contract value of $18 million. Huai Kenyun to sell and distribute Bond's Apple Series health products. $18 million contract. The market cap of this company is only $5.7 million. We are making a pretty big move here in the pre-market. We're actually above the VWAP, somewhat near highs here. We take a look at the short interest on this. 1.43% of the float is shorted with 1 day to cover. Comes on a 543,000 share average volume. Today we've traded 27 million plus. Float here is 3.5. What do you think on BON?
I did have a NASDAQ recompliance that they just regained back in August. Where is this company out of? It seems like it's out of China. I mean, they got in a cooperation agreement with China, but I don't know.
The company has its geographic presence in the People's Republic of China and overseas. Spot on, 13.
Okay, so that means that the financials that I'm seeing are probably in RMB, so they're not in dollars. We're at just under 3 right now. I don't really have anything on the fundamental side. I'm just looking at the chart.
Sure.
Where this can go. We're trying to get over 3. Looks like if we do, there's going to be some resistance around 365 to 375. There's a gap at $5 to $6, so that could fill pretty quickly if it gets up there. And then other than that, what is this?
JL saying Bond is a pump and dump master. Feel like we've seen that before from this name.
I think he's right.
Yeah, last couple of times that we've seen this thing pop, it's really kind of done nothing. I think there's another one in here that I'm not able to see, but
I think
we know how this one works.
I think it might be YOUL. I think that's the other pump and dump.
Yeah.
Let's double check. U Life Group. Yeah, that's it.
This is the other one that was moving here. So you saw a huge move above 8 here, came all the way back in. Let me actually go over that. This from this morning here, U Life Group, first half total revenues 127.5 million, up 16.2% year over year. So getting a good PR there on the surface there. Stocks up 91%. Quick look around the horn here. I actually don't have a short interest read, and it's because I don't have a float reading. This actually has just over 100,000 shares in the float, 1.49 days to cover. On average, trades over 500,000 shares. Today, it's traded 47 million. And like I said, no float reading. What do you think here? Just pump and dump? Anything else?
No, I think it might just be the best to probably avoid these pump and dump ones and just focus on CWD, NMA, Wolf, WOLF.
Okay.
And maybe even NBIS. So the ones that we know are actual companies.
I'm going to give you an honorable mention. We saw this one move in the after hours yesterday, and it's on the very similar theme that we're seeing some of these other stocks move. This is ticker Zone. This is Clean Core Solutions. And the news here, I mean, get ready. The news here came out yesterday. House of Doge treasury partner Clean Core Solutions acquires 285 million Dogecoin with a strategic goal to accumulate the first milestone target of 1 billion Doge in 30 days. I mean, Dogecoin, this was a joke, right? This was like a meme coin joke. Now we're having a company say that they're going to do a treasury strategy there. Bragg House Holdings announces a $4 million investment in Clean Core Solutions. This news is from this morning on the Dogecoin treasury model. I can't wait to hear what you think about this one, 13. Quick look around the horn again. No float reading on this. I'll see if I can go pull one. This has 46,000 shares held short, however. On average, stock trades 307,000 shares. Today, we've traded 10 million plus. What do you think here, 13, on ticker ZONE?
I don't understand Dogecoin.
That's what I thought.
It's just an inflationary crypto. It's going to be forever diluted. You may as well buy SQQQ and create an ETF strategy, because that's basically the same kind of value you're going to get. It's just going to keep on, degrading until it'll be worthless. So I just don't get it. This is I think where we know the market is now starting to finally hit its top. We have companies buying Dogecoin for a crypto treasury strategy.
Yeah, and then here, Trout Bum saying 6.5 million in the float. That's per Weeble.
Oh, for Zone? Okay.
Yeah, for Zone. So, okay, good stuff there. Good stuff there on Zone. So I think that was the last one that I had here on the list. Someone earlier was asking about Tech, ticker TECK. This is Tech Resources. Shares are trading higher here if the company announced a merger of equals with Anglo American. I guess it's going to be called Anglo Tech. Nonetheless, here, stock did pop in the after hours, just shy of 44, came in a little bit, but got bought back up. I don't know if you have a view on this one or whether or not it's going to be tradable here today.
Well, let me see what the float is, because I don't seem to have that here in Pro. So 479 million shares in the float. What was the one that we were trading yesterday that had a large float? I got it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know that there was. I know there was one of them. I'm sorry, man. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't think I have it. But anyway, it'd probably be a lot like that, where you do get some movement, but it's not going to be outsized moves like some of these other movers are. So with a float like that, I'm not expecting fireworks, maybe spark.
Oh, was it QS?
That might have been it. Yeah.
Because this is that QuantumScape. This is that battery play that actually held, and the float here is 450 million. Good call, Mazur. I think you're right on that. I think it was QS.
It was. Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, is where tech could how tech could move today. It could be very similar to that, where it didn't do a whole lot. It just that's kind of what I'm thinking. It might not sell off, but it's just not going to do a whole lot. It'll be slow moving.
Sure.
It's got a large float.
Sure. Okay. Is that it for the up gappers? I know we just talked to Red Dog about IREN there. It looks like this is actually up 10% here. This is what the chart looks like on IREN. 13, was there anything else that you wanted to cover here?
Just something I was looking at here. It's not a mover or anything special like that, but it is a SPAC.
Okay. What do you got?
CCCX.
Churchill Capital Corp. Okay. What do you got for us here on this one?
So this is merging with a quantum company that NVIDIA uses. I can't remember the name. It starts with an I. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second, because I started looking at this because I was reading a news article, and I just figured out which SPAC it was. I can't remember the name of the company.
Okay, but, if you want, let me cover Ondas real quick while you get your stuff through that. There, several of you are asking about Ondas here. We have another offering that is causing this to plunge. The offering is for 40 million shares at $5. Stock really got sold off here, which is unfortunate because it deleted all of yesterday's gains. The crash here is basically all the way back to where we were on Friday. Really, what we want to do is see if this $5 holds here. But here's the news: price is $200 million offering of common stock, which is 40 million shares at $5. Lake Street remains a buy, so we also got that here. But that's what's going on with Ondas, down 8% here, down 13.37. The one thing that I'll say here about this, first of all, this should really not be a surprise. We've actually seen this on the way up here. We have such substantial gains in this, and we've had such great opportunities to sell it. The money should be made here. As far as the offering goes, gotta hope that the raised proceeds allow them to ramp drone production. There's even more talk about that going on here. And I think a lot of these drone companies should be beneficiaries of that. So we'll see. The other thing to keep in mind about some of these offerings, the last couple of times that Ondas has done an offering, it's actually been bought pretty well. So although we're staring at minus 13.5% right now, we'll see if that holds up throughout the rest of the session. All right, 13, you ready to go back there?
Yeah, so the company's name is Inflection with a Q, not a C. And they are used by NVIDIA, Department of Defense, NASA, a bunch of other companies. And they are an industry-leading in technical milestones. They have up to 1,600 physical qubits. They have 1.8 billion in pre-money equity value. They've got over 450 million of expected gross transaction proceeds, including the over 125 million of incremental financing via common stock pipe. And let's see what else here. But basically, this is going to be another one of these quantum companies that actually appears to have revenue. And they are going to be coming onto the market either late this year or early next year. The ticker change will be INFQ. But this is going to be one of the SPACs to keep an eye on. I think this could be a really interesting company. And I know that a whole bunch, the vast majority of SPACs end up going way down because as they de-SPAC, and all the redemption offers. But I feel like this one could be a pretty good one. So I think it's just at the very least worth keeping an eye on.
Okay. Good stuff there. We'll see. So this is not necessarily a buy now. This is more of a kind of wait and see what happens, and then we'll assess it in the future.
Yeah, you could, because how SPACs, will typically work is they will at least be $10 until the merger occurs. But they could go much higher if people get excited for this ahead of the merger. So just something that to consider. I don't know how good or bad this is going to be. I just felt it was interesting. Especially with the quantum theme that we've identified and kind of been on. and that's kind of cooled off a little bit. But if we're going to be getting rate cuts, I think this could be one that may gain some traction.
Okay. All right. Good breakdown there. CCCX. What was the ticker that Inflect is going to be?
It's going to be INFQ.
INFQ. Let me actually type that down in my note sheet here. INFQ. Okay. Sick. Really good breakdown. 13. Where do you want to go next?
I want to go to the bell.
Well, we got 16 minutes for that, so we might as well fill some time here. I guess we could go to ticker time from the group, or we could take a look at CWD. I know that's the big mover today.
Whatever you guys want to look at.
See where that ended up. Okay, this is actually looks like it put in a double top there about 56, trying to hold higher here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know on CWD. What I know is that it looks like this is going to be today's octo. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get to 5,000% at some point here today. I'd really kind of pay attention to your technicals here. Again, my same warning that I gave on octo, if you don't know what you're doing on this or you don't have a clear plan, it's okay to avoid this. Also, I was saying earlier, for those of you that really kind of feel like, hey, I missed out on octo yesterday, we've already told you once today, and I believe we told you this yesterday as well, that you're likely going to get another opportunity. And lo and behold, you didn't even have to wait that long. So again, be careful with these. If you trade them, know that they can absolutely wipe you out. Red Dog covered that a little bit earlier as well. 13, any words of wisdom here for CWD or any of these other high-flying movers?
CWD does look like it's losing a little bit of steam here as we approach the open. So I think I'd prefer to wait and see what happens out of the open. Let this come back in, find some kind of a footing or a base, and once it does, we can see if there's a trade there. But I'm not going to really try to catch anything that's running into the open. DSY looks like that's trying to curl up. SET, all the pump names are trying to curl up right now. So there might be a brief trade there out of the open, but still, just keep in mind of what those are. They are total pump and dumps. Don't get yourself trapped in those. Okay.
Really, really good stuff there. 13 on that. Okay. What else do you folks want to take a look at? Rooster here wants to take a look at Oscar and UNH. The other thing we talked about with Red Dog there is possible trade in XLV as well as UNH. Let's start here with Oscar. I know that this was a Tim Melvin recommendation. This actually, he recommended it, it moved, and then it came back in, and then people were like, what is Tim talking about? And now it's moving again. So again, Tim does really good research. His research is pretty awesome. The one thing here, 13, we want to see if it will invalidate this potential head and shoulders. We actually had a left shoulder and a head drawn. Now we're trading up into the right shoulder. Will it actually hold here and give us a head and shoulders, or do we invalidate this like we did on, I think Google was one of them. Robinhood was another one that we had these potentially on. Oscar here actually down 1.3%. This is actually after a pretty good move yesterday. I don't think there's any new news here. Now, last week we had some directors paying for shares with tax. That's not an open market buy. I don't really think we have anything news driven here. Chart though, we want to see if we form a head and shoulders. Oh, it deleted that already. We want to see if this forms a head and shoulders or if we actually trade away from this. 13, you got anything here on OSCR?
I don't know that we're going to be necessarily getting that head and shoulders there. It looks to me like we're more likely to break above or at least test a previous high that we've been trying to get above 23.5 for a while, ever since last May when we were first visited there. Was rejected and was rejected in September of last year. Came back up here in June. Now we're approaching this same area again, and there's a bit of a trend line there too, especially if you look far enough back into 2021 where we started. I feel like we're going to come up to a resistance area before we come back in. I don't necessarily think that's going to speak to the head and shoulders. I just think that it's a temporary resistance area before we attempt to try to push through it again. Now, if we hit that, which I'm expecting it to be at about $22. We could come back into 19 before it tries again. So I'm expecting a little back and forth before this tries to break over that 23, 24 area. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. Did you end up drawing a trend line or?
No, I don't
Okay.
have data going all the way back
Okay.
to 2021, so I couldn't figure out what you were asking about there. Day trader here saying this was a daily gap fill play from 1744 to 20 and a half.
Yeah.
Went long at 1665. Okay.
Yep. There's a gap. There was a gap there. That was from
Yeah, and it looks like
July
it did
1st,
get filled. Yeah.
July 1st to 2nd. Yep.
Okay, good stuff there on Oscar. UNH was the other one Rooster wanted to take a look at.
Okay.
So this UNH, we're actually up by 4% here. United Healthcare group shares are trading higher after the company announced it intends to reaffirm its full year 25 EPS guidance that was previously disclosed on July 19th. The big thing that we've been talking about on UNH has been this trend line, and now we've started to resolve through it and pop. The pop today takes us above the 100, and it actually sets up a potential gap fill up to 376. So I think I like what traders are looking at here on this one. Maybe we do end up getting a gap fill here. What say you, 13?
Just kind of reading the news about what this the EPS guidance are referring to, because I'm trying to think back when they just closed this, did they also kind of say, well, we're not sure? Because I guess I'm kind of just wondering if you're just, if you intend to reaffirm it, why not just reaffirm it? What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for the next earnings? So I guess that's kind of the question I have.
Okay, fair enough.
Why wait? Why get us all buttered up? So the resistance I'm seeing here is going to be about 342. So that's what, $9 away. And then we get into a gap fill area. I don't know that we're going to fill that gap today, or if we're going to even get up in there. But that's the next resistance area is going to be about 342, 343.
Okay, really good stuff there, UNH. Big shout out here to one of our Twitter viewers here, Richard Bowden. Good morning. QMMM seems to be a pump and dump too, right? Richard, what'd you do, bro? What did you do? Do you have the Midas touch here? Because this thing is absolutely ramping now. Looks like we actually do have some news here. QMMM Holdings shares are trading higher after the company announced it expanded into the cybersecurity sector. Stock is trading up 100%. This news came 6 minutes ago. So, Richard, your post here was 6 minutes ago. Your post here was 7 minutes prior to the news. So we're going to get you an answer here if this was a pump and dump here today. Huge move, now up 110% here. Looks like this is all over the place in the pre-market here on some pretty good volume. Richard, looks like Richard Bowden, you've got the Midas touch here today, boss.
I think it might be, but here's some things that leans me a little bit more towards maybe. So first of all, this was a bear cave short report stock. This happened on August 28th.
Ah, that's right.
They filed for an 800 million mixed securities shelf. So there could be a capital raise coming here today. But the whole, I guess they figured, hey, all we have to do is just kind of throw out some buzzwords like cryptocurrency and treasury strategy, and this thing will run. Because I don't know how if they actually intend to do this, but they just basically said we're expanding into crypto and blockchain AI solutions. I think that you're right. It could be a pump and dump. Be careful with this one as well, especially if they have that mixed securities shelf filed. There could be a capital raise coming today too. Just be careful with these, and maybe even don't trade or look at something else if the concern is really that great. For me, it could be. So.
Day trader here, never letting our group down as per usual. Day trader QMMM also mentions that they have a crypto treasury plan as well. They're going to stack Bitcoin, Sol, and Ethereum. Now, Christoph mentioning that this is a Hong Kong company. I was going to say, isn't this China? Yeah, it is. So really good mention there on being careful. Moves going right now, but just be careful. We could see some crazy stuff there.
Yeah, looks like, let's see, this is...
This is, so by the way, really quickly, just for context here, this thing hit a high of $31.45 in the pre-market. It's trading back down to $20 now.
Yeah, it's at blue sky right now. This is the highest it's ever been. So I should expect this thing to come right back down to earth, like a meteor, like a SpaceX rocket.
Okay. We'll see. Maybe it sets up for a trade here. I guess keep us posted. We got a lot of moving targets here today. We'll see which ones end up sticking.
Watch this thing go to 35 and then just absolutely crater. Like it'll probably be something stupid like that, and we won't be able to catch it or time it very well. It'll just rip right up to 35 and come right back in.
And then we'll be able to say to Richard's very poignant question, frankly, yes, it was in fact a pump and dump. So we'll see which one.
I'm certainly leaning it's way more of a pump and dump than anything else.
Yeah, I am too, but I am just the one caveat that I'm giving out here is that the market's been crazy, folks. The market's been crazy, and things that we might expect or make sense, sometimes we get the opposite. Just be on your toes. I think that's the best piece of advice I can give you. Manny, good morning. It's good to see you again. Welcome back. And Shamir King, welcome back. We haven't seen you in some time either.
I didn't learn with Moses, but I would imagine that there aren't any options for Q.
I can check here for you real quick. I actually have my option order form open. Let me check here. QMMM, there are no options for this instrument.
Yeah.
So, nope. Good question, though. Okay. It is dumping, in fact. And is this going to go red?
You know what, Joseph Schmo, that would actually be.
It's going to go red, dude.
Good. Oh no, of course it will.
Of course it will.
Of course it will.
No big deal.
But no, that's a half good joke, half like maybe it will happen. Procter and Gamble announced their toilet paper division will be backed by Fartcoin. I mean, that's tongue in cheek, not a bad idea.
You can get some Dogecoin in there too.
Yeah.
All right. We're 4.5 minutes here till the open. What do we want to take a look at going into the open? Did we cover everything? Someone asked about NBIS. That was actually one of the first news items that I covered. But since we're really kind of run through most of the list here, just kind of rehashing this, Nebius shares are trading higher after the company announced it secured up to $19.4 billion 5-year GPU infrastructure deal. We did have a news that kind of walks through that. I'll go ahead and throw that there in the chat for you. We're seeing this again, as I mentioned earlier, the $100 level likely going to come in play here today just because of the round psychological impact of 100. It is worth mentioning that the high print that we got in the pre-market, in the after hours yesterday, that high print, let me get it for you exactly, 109.07. So if we get above 100, maybe that becomes a key level here. They're basically This news is actually validation, I believe, of this company. Stock's up 50%. I don't know if it's going to close there, but it's up 50% here today. All right. CMG. Sorry?
We were getting asked about Loan Depot as well.
Yeah, I will do Loan Depot. I see it, Izzy. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to do CMG first since you asked 13 first instead of me. I'm going to pay you back and do CMG first. Just kidding. Michael, I actually think that you were asking about CMG yesterday, and I'm not sure that we got to it. The question here, and I correct me if I'm wrong as to why you're bringing this up, where on earth is the bottom in Chipotle? It's got to be there somewhere, and it's got to be a buyable bottom. This thing is now taking another leg down. This is after a pretty big gap down, an attempted bounce, and then a rollover. Seems to me, just looking in here, your next spot, probably this 35-36 handle. This actually looks pretty good if it gets down there. But man, RSI almost at oversold territory here. No bueno for Chipotle. We also have a kind of a fairly good looking trend line on the upside here. I'm going to cut this top. I'm going to cut this middle top 13 just to connect a couple of those dots. It's going to be a while, I think, before we revisit that trend line. We're hunting for a bottom right now. So unless you guys have a really good tradable spot on this, I would almost say it's probably better off waiting for Chipotle to confirm that bottom. But 13, what do you say?
Well, we are coming down into a little bit of consolidation. So a bit of a demand zone that we're already kind of in. But there's a real big thick part of it that's between 24.5 to 35. So it could probably end up coming down there into the mid to low 30s, I think, before it finds its footing. Maybe it happens a little bit earlier, around 35. It's certainly possible. But I think that you're going to probably start seeing more of a base being formed under 35. Somewhere between 30 and 35 would be my guess. I don't have, without looking at, some more fundamentals, some more filings. I get a better idea of their valuation, which is still pretty high up there. I feel like I don't have an accurate idea of where this ends up settling down, but I would say just look at the chart somewhere between 30 and 35.
Okay. 30 and 35. I think that 35 to 36 actually looks like a pretty good spot. We'll see on Chipotle. Okay. We're less than a minute until we open here. Oh, you know what? Let's do Loan Depot here so Izzy doesn't have a coronary. Just kidding. Here's what it looks like on LDI. You can see that this is the pop that we made yesterday. If we take a look inside, though, look, we lost the pre-market level. So the next thing that I'd want to figure out, yeah, sure, we could be at a support. This was the initial pre-market breakout support area that we had yesterday on Loan Depot. Realistically, though, I really think we want this to hold 340 here. I think if it comes in a little bit more, your next spot probably at 320. No guarantee that any of these hold. 13, what do you think here for levels on ticker LDI Loan Depot?
I have a feeling we're going to see the gap fill.
Okay.
I just have that sense that we're going to get this thing to come down. It'll come down and maybe print slightly under 3.
Okay.
And then I think that it'll probably, there's a good chance this could start to trade much, much better.
Okay. Let's see if we get that gap fill.
Yeah, I think that's what might have to happen. I think, in the days and weeks ahead, we just opened. In the days and weeks ahead, this will probably be much better, kind of like Rocket. All right.
Okay.
So CWD getting pulled out of the gate here, as is a lot of these junk names. So.
QMMM might be trading back up. Remember, some of these you might not be able to buy electronically. I've actually already ran into that once here today, so be careful on that. I guess if you can't buy it, it's CWD. Nothing really to be careful about. Which one?
CWD. It's starting to get a little bit of volume, trying to push up to 50. I'm not going to be taking anything on this. I don't know if this is going to get back up to the 56 where it was in the pre-market. Looks
pretty spread as well, at least on my active trader ladder here. So
one of the junk names, STEC, that's in a downward halt now. BON reclaiming VWAP, trying to go higher. This might be a good one here, BON.
I was going to say BON, this actually might be a little bit better than some of these other really kind of high flyers here. BON looking pretty good at 325 if it can take that. Yeah, there it goes. Oh, I was too slow to get on it too. Damn.
Now, it did have some trouble at 375, so just keep that in mind as we approach there. It's either going to get rejected there or it's going to blast right through it.
I'll tell you what, 13, you are wasting no time here today. That was a monster call on BON. I actually tried to get filled down there. 324 was what I tried to buy. Did not get filled. Now we're getting a little bit of a pull here. This would be great. If this pulls down to VWAP and sets up, giddy up. That would be sweet.
Okay, here we go. QMMM and DSY are now halted to the downside. So, folks, this is what we're talking about here. These junky names, just taking people's money. Let's be careful with these, or just avoid them altogether.
Yeah, good stuff there.
CWD coming down to 36. That's the support level. Next one beneath that is going to be about $25. And then you have the 65 EMA on the 5-minute 18.
Real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt. I actually tried to buy a little bit of this bond VWAP pullback just for a snapback trade. Same deal. Cannot electronically start a position. They're making me call my broker on some of these. So I'm going to keep mentioning that as I go through it. Would appreciate if the chat did the same. Sorry, 13. Didn't mean to knock you off what you were doing there.
It looks like TECK might be the next one to lose its VWAP. So be careful with that one if you're trying to trade it. And BON is going lower. Meanwhile, it looks like Octo's trying to get going here. So that might be trying to make a comeback. And also keep an eye on CWD. If it gets that support at 36, maybe a little bit of a turnaround game here. All these other ones are not looking great.
Here's your Cayman Island one back to penny stock territory. It actually looks like it might try and go lower as well. Octo, a check-in from yesterday, maybe holding that pre-market low area, maybe trading back up on Octo. I wonder if I can buy this one.
Also,
still really spread, by the way, on Octo. Sorry, 13.
No, it's okay. Keep an eye on Open Door. That started getting some movement out of the gate here, went all the way up to 621, I believe, 620.
One thing to keep in mind on Open Door, I actually did not get to this news story, but I'll throw it in the chat here for you. Martin Sclarelli, Pharma Bro, yep, he's back. He's saying that Open is still a very obvious short. So I don't know if he's going to be right, wrong, or otherwise. I'm just letting you know what the information is out there. Open is popping here, holding 6 so far.
Didn't those quantum names that he was shorting slaughter him?
I don't think so. He's got a ton of trading funds. I don't know if he'd be slaughtered by something like that. But again, I don't know. Not speaking for him, just presenting you the data point.
All right. We got to mention that Youl, Y-O-U-L, was halted the upside. So one of these penny names, these junk names, actually with some upside. But I try to exercise some caution with this. I don't want this to unhalt, pop up, and then just absolutely drop again. This has a what is the float on this one? I have 53 million in my broker. What does Pro say? Doesn't say. So we'll go with that, 53 million. Bond coming in, tech not doing a whole lot. DSY still halted. Look at all these halts. Now Octo is halted to the downside, and CWD is halted to the downside. Folks, everything's halted except tech. Look at all these halts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 halts.
Look, like I said, good. At least one of the days that we said, hey, folks, you might want to be careful. At least we actually get some action here that's indicative of us being careful. We'll see. 13, I'm going to step. Which one do you want me to leave on the screen here? I'm going to step.
I have no idea.
I was just going to say, I'm not really sure. I'm going to leave CWD on the screen. If you really need to change, you might have to share. I'll be right back, though.
Okay, no problem. All right, Jacob, while he's gone, I'll take a look at MGIH. Because frankly, I don't have a whole lot of anything else to look at. Okay, so this is going here. They launched a new Vietnam manufacturing facility. So this might actually be some real news. Float 1.25, a market cap 25 million. This is kind of in the wheelhouse that we're looking for. Let's see. Let me look at what this is doing in my broker here. Good find. I like it. Oh, okay. So this is one that we've traded before. I got all kinds of levels on this, and we've just moved above all of them. Let's see. This was probably something. Okay, so we last traded this. Wow, we traded this all the way back at the beginning of the year. Either the beginning of the year or the end of last year. Looks like the end of last year. So it's a blast from the past, folks. Let me see if I've got anything else on this. And because this thing back in December. Went all the way up to 683. So that's certainly a possibility. And I don't have a whole lot of levels to go on. We're actually almost at the IPO high. That was back on April 4th of 2023, where the price went up to 463. So we're almost there. The high, the all-time high, if this is a real print, was back in February of 2024, where it went up to 957. Let me just do something here, because I frankly don't have any idea where this really can go, but we do have a bit of a trend line here with these highs that it's been putting in. That's interesting. That's super interesting. All right. So maybe there's a trend line here that it's trying to break, and that spot looks to be $5. So we'll see if that ends up what we end up getting here with MGIH. This thing is one of the halted ones now. Looks like the high from yesterday was 484. So that's kind of where I'd be looking at for the price to go next, and then 5. Oh, and meanwhile, LGHL is also going. Sorry, folks. All wrapped up in this one. LGHL, this is Line Group Holding. That just had a pop over VWAP, the 65 EMA. Now it's coming up to some of the pre-market consolidation here, starting at about 275, 280. And that's going to last until about 340. So between about where it's at right now and 340 should find some resistance. But I bet if the volume maintains, you can chew through this in about 10 or 15. We'll see if that ends up what's happening here. But nice to mention. This looks like it's trying to get going here. Bond halted too. Oh yeah, we said that. We said all kinds of these are halted. Now some of them are starting to unhalt. We have tech. Oh wait, I'm sorry, that didn't halt. But we have Octo halted, CWD halted, DSY, STEC, Bond, Q, Triple M, and now MGIH. 8 halts. And Yule looks like that's open now. And this is the one that popped up. It opened and it came right back in, got some support. Looks like it's going to try and go higher, but just be careful with this. This is one of those pump and dumps. This might pump real fast and then dump real fast. So just be very, very careful with these. Watching ZNB, says Wiss. I don't know. You'll have to ask him, Joseph.
Sorry about that, 13.
No problem. Hey, you're the one that's missing out, buddy.
What am I missing out on?
So we had NGIH, that one that from looks like it was moving yesterday, but it was also moving at the end of last year too. That's in a halt. Looking for 5 in this one.
Boy, it is just a halt fest today. Octo moving to the lows. That might
Bond
halt
open.
if that breaks away.
Bond open now.
Okay, on it.
And
I can't trade that one, unfortunately.
And we also had LGHL, Line Group Holding Limited. That's also starting to get going here, but we were looking at about 275 to 340 as a range of resistance. Bond trying to find some footing here.
This is the one that Lion is on the board of directors on, right? Wink, wink.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so that was a joke. That was really.
I think this is the same name. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that it is, though.
It might be, but you'll have to ask Lion about that. Okay, so now it's coming back in. This is going to halt down. This is when I was cautioning about LGHL. This is open now. I'm sorry, I don't not LGHL, MGIH. This is open now. It popped up to 450, so halfway there, and now it is massively selling off. Bump and dump, folks.
Okay, hey, at least we said be prepared for this earlier today. At least we kind of prepared you for it. I'm just looking around the rest of the scanner list here to see if I can see anything else. RZLV, we got asked about this not long ago. I feel like this had a good day yesterday. Looks like more continuation here today as it's up nearly 15%. Let me see if there was any fresh news on this one.
There's, this is not a suggestion. Nope. You do what you folks want, but there is no shame in sitting on your hands today if none of this looks appetizing to you.
Yep. Lion says yes. That is the one that he's on the board of directors.
Oh, yeah. Okay. MGIH with the broadsword now. That's ugly.
Can anyone else? So Lion here talking about Bond. Are you guys able to buy that? Is it just me that can't buy that here with my Charles Schwab account? Let me know if anyone else has any trouble buying that one.
I had a quick scalp in that one, so I can trade it.
Okay, so that's Weeble can trade Bond. By the way, Nebius, ticker NBIS, this has been straight down from the open. Part of me wonders if we do get some support down here, pre-market low, or is that the after hours low from yesterday on NBIS, maybe for a bounce play.
Are the Qs looking like they're about to roll over to you?
It looks like it pulled, but it looks like the buyers are trying to step in.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted on this. On one hand, I can see this being an ascending triangle. On the other hand, it might just be getting ready for a big drop. I really can't tell. DSY, by the way, this might be putting in a bullish reversal pattern. Something to watch for.
Jacob says, move to Denmark. We have good brokers there. Tara says, I can't buy Bond either. Okay, well, at least it's not just me. That actually, as crazy as this sounds, that actually makes me feel better, Tara. Sorry about that. Glad I'm not the only one. Maybe it'll save me from doing something dumb here today. Yassine's asking NBIS thoughts. I'd open that up to the group here. I think there's probably a bounce coming here, but your guess is as good as mine when we can expect that. Still pulling here. Low 89s now.
I'd expect it. If there's going to be a bounce coming, it's going to have to be soon. Otherwise, I think we're coming down to $80.
Okay, so 13 thinks 80 is a possible downside here. NBIS, we'll see. This is still in its pulling form here. We'll see if we end up getting a bounce on this.
If support doesn't happen soon, like around 88, 87, then I think we're going to test. 80. none of these are looking really that great. Maybe Line Group Holdings, that's still trying to hold above its VWAP.
I bought bond on E-Trade. Okay, Lion. So E-Trade allows you to buy bond. Good stuff there. Barat says got a great short on NBIS at the open. Barat out here. NBIS maybe curling now?
Bond turning around, trying to hit VWAP now.
Let me try to go to it here. Sorry, I'm slow on the draw.
Some of these look like they're trying to turn around. Some of these pump and dump names. It looks like DSY is trying.
Bond trades on 13. Bond trades on Trade Zero as well. Okay, so it looks like it's just the Charles Schwab broker so far that's having trouble. I'm sorry, 13, for interrupting, but that's something I wanted to stay on top of today.
Okay. DSY is getting support from its 200 EMA on the 5 minutes. Volume isn't bad, but it needs to be better. It looks like it's trying to get back up to VWAP. You have STEC halted. That's also getting support from the 200 EMA. That might also turn around. These aren't suggestions or anything. These are
sure.
These are all the junk names. These are very, very high risk. If these aren't appealing to you, don't trade them. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing right now, and it looks like there's going to be some very quick short-term trades happening here in some of these names. But
speaking of a short-term trade, NBIS looks like it did try to bounce from that 89 handle, went to 91, but came all the way back in very, very quick. That is still figuring out its next direction. I've got the VWAP at 94 on NBIS. And folks, look at this. Ondas here after that offering. So far, it's early in the day, right? But so far, buyers are stepping in here on Ondas. We're back at 550. Zach here saying added some more Ondas at 525, looking pretty good. Okay. Good stuff. Anthony, you cashed out on bond. You're giving us credit, but pat yourself on the back, buddy. Good to see you making some money there. G-Man says the market is heating up. So you had asked earlier about the Qs rolling over 13. And I had said, well, it looks like the buyers are trying to buy it back. That 5-minute candle ended up looking kind of like a hammer there. I won't fight you on it, but it does look like the Qs are trying to go higher here. Realistically, I'd love to hear what you think. I really think this needs to take 580 and then probably these pre-market highs 580 and change for this to move higher for me to feel good about it.
It looks like we're kind of range bound for the time being. I think that you're right. If we lose, so let's say this: if we lose 579, we're probably going to go lower. If we break over 580, we're probably going to go higher, like to Friday's higher. Just the way I'm looking at it. Bond now trying to recapture VWAP. Got a seller on the way at 295.
Sorry about the dead air here. I'm answering a question at work.
And I'm answering my own question in my head.
Okay, well, fair enough. At least we're answering questions out here. Yeah. X-Sniper, good to see you again. Welcome back. Good to have you here. PDK M&A making moves.
Yeah.
MMA. That actually has a legit catalyst. We'll see here on MMA.
Halted now to the upside. Recaptured VWAP and the 65 EMA. It's got some resistance that it's dealing with here at about 175. Lots of supply above that, about 190 to 220. But we might see it trade better if we can get above that area. So let's see what happens out of the halt.
Okay, and I had asked you folks, we asked the producer to come up with a poll regarding the Apple awe-dropping event. 13, I can't wait to get your opinion on this. Please answer. Okay. Do you think the awe-dropping event is going to be bullish, bearish, not sure, or no interest? This is what we got. 37% of you said bullish. 22% of you said no interest. 21% of you said not sure. And 18% of you said bearish. So 13, let me get your opinion on that. What do you think here?
Oh, I voted no interest because unless it's going to be
you did vote.
Unless it's going to be something that has to do with their own in-house developed AI or smart glasses, I don't know what they could say that would impress me.
And as we've heard from people about this conference, we're actually not expecting that here today.
Then I don't care.
Then you don't care. Okay, fair enough. Look, I asked, you answered. I appreciate that. The one thing I will say here is that when the bar is lowered, you can make the case that maybe there's going to kind of be maybe a trade up to that. I don't know that I certainly would not buy the event. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to trading Apple here if it sets up prior to that event. No guarantees though. I think the majority here is probably right on with this. Oh, and you know what? Let me get that link for Anne Marie. I think I forgot to do that earlier too.
And I'm not saying that the news couldn't be something spectacular. It's just that there's been an expectation I've had for Apple for a while. They haven't delivered. I'm not.
And you're not alone.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you're not alone on that expectation. That's a real thing there, 13. We're not getting it. So, okay, good stuff there. Let's see what else we got going on here.
Still a lot of halts. We have
there's still a lot of halts. Yeah, indeed.
Oh my God, this is hilarious. This
you know
is
what I need to get? I need to get the Judge Dredd sound drop where he yells halt to the servo droid at the beginning when Rob Schneider hides in the droid to avoid the gang war. He yells halt, and that would be a perfect soundboard drop. Sylvester Stallone, Judge Dredd halt. I will take a look for that.
Did you ever see Wall-E?
I did not. I generally don't see Disney movies.
Yeah, there's robots in that run around the entire ship going halt, halt. So
that actually might, you know what? That might not be bad either. By the way, Wolf, which you had mentioned earlier, is WOLF. This curling off of that 200 EMA.
Crazy halts today. You're right.
Indeed, it is. Also, you're saying a gap and go here on Baba. Baba also had news here today. Alibaba holding shares are trading higher after Barclays maintained an overweight rating on the stock and raised the price target from 145 to 190. You're absolutely right on that gap and go. 9 EMA is your signal on that one.
What are you finding odd with the level 2 on MMA Market Sniper? Is it the fact that there's like very little sellers at all? I mean, the next seller I see is up at 209, 202. And then after that, we're much higher. Is that what you're looking at, or is it something I'm not seeing?
Yeah, I see. I just pulled it up here. I actually had NBIS up, so I'm sorry about that. I just see it halted here. I don't see anything abnormal yet, but I'll take a look and see if we can identify that. Market Sniper says yes, so it looks like you're right on there, 13.
All right, cool. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's interesting about that is that it seems like there's people that are just letting this thing, staying out of the way. They just want to let it fly. So let's see if that was what we end up getting here. And 209. Let's see what happens out of the halt there. Maybe we get a pop right up to that level. Maybe. CWD open. Looks like that's trying to turn around. Coming back up towards VWAP. DSY still trying to get support from the 200 EMA. Bond still dealing with the VWAP, trying to press over that. Not successful so far. YOUL. This is looking to print a new session high, and that comes with an asterisk. The session high is only $4.29.
Really quickly here, Crimp Biscuit. Thanks, y'all. I'm out. Brokers want me to call on everything. Yo, I feel this here. The only stock that I've been able to actually buy and sell here has been NBIS, and I basically did it for lunch money. I've tried on some of these movers that I generally don't trade, and man, oh man, I have to call for everything too. What broker do you use?
MGIH. That's ugly. All the way back down to start. Yeah,
okay. And, by the way, MMA is open now, so maybe we're making a move back to the VWAP here. MMA. I've got VWAP there, 233 on MMA. Up here at $1.90. We're trying to go through 2. We'll see if we pop it. There's size there at 2. They took it.
Yep, they went to 2. 209 is what we were looking for. They had some seller at 202. I think we barely scratched that, but 209.
Yep, actually, they just deleted that 202 seller now too. So 209, you think is the next spot? Let's see if they pull it off this.
It could very well be the next spot.
There we go. Through to again, another yank there. It looks like there's a battle going on here in MMA. Why is my chart not loading for it? Sorry about that, folks. See if I can get this here and then go back to the chart.
MGIH trying to turn around after that nasty pull.
Uh-oh, I might be having chart issues here. Let me actually go check with the folks here at work. 202. So you said 202 is a spot. Interestingly, there, 13, they're refilling that spot. And there we go. Higher and through. Bang. Okay, that's scalp done. 2 for 2 today, at least.
Yeah, 209 was just. I mean, this looks like it could go even higher. Look at the MACD. That's showing a swing in the momentum. So I would say that if this can, gosh, I don't even know if that's a good spot. It looks like it wants to go higher. Where I'm not sure exactly, but it looks like this wants to press higher into the 2 handle.
Let me see if it's just these little movers here that's giving me trouble. Something is going on with, yeah, I see it, J. Michael. I'm reporting it here. Sorry about that. Yeah, my charts are down too, guys.
And CWD trying to turn around still. I don't know that I would be taking this, though. The volume doesn't look that great. I mean, it hasn't been too bad of a morning, all things considered. With, we can manage our way through the craziness and find these trades. We do all right.
Yeah, I mean, personally, like the trading hasn't been terrible. Obviously, the big Ondas pullback is ugly for the P&L, but at the end of the day, 13, I think that you're right. It's probably not terrible, or it hasn't been terrible here. I really don't want this to turn ugly, though. That's, again, one of the things that I'm really kind of trying to play defense, I think, more. I still want to make new trades, though. So try and do that here for you. Ryan, last scalp, what was for you? It was MMA on that move back to the 209, that 13 outline there. In 197, out 209.
Nice.
And then the NBIS was the move to the 80s. I actually just bought the knife. And I bought it small, though, on NBIS. Bharat, can you review CoreWeave here? Let me see if I can get the charts. Let me see if I can get the charts fixed up here, and then I'd be happy to take a look at CoreWeave for you.
Yeah, so we did get 3 green candles in MMA. We might get a red one here, and then we'll see what happens after that. DSY, that's starting to trade beneath the 200 EMA. That pump and dump could be finished. Bond still hammering that VWAP. It looks like it wants to try to get back over it. I think 3 could be printed here. I don't know if we're going to get it close above, but we might see a 3 print here in Bond. Just we'll have to see if that happens or not. It continues to hammer it, but you also have a series of upper shadows. Tech, that's continuing lower. Looks like it's coming down to a bit of a pre-market support area.
Man.
So 39 might be even, or maybe just beneath it might be about 39. That might be where the next support is, and if not there, then 38.
Okay, still have an issue here with the charts. Ondas moved through the VWAP to the upside, pulled back, and is retesting the VWAP. We'll see if this holds here. If it does, I think we might move higher on Ondas. We'll see.
Barrington, it's Wolf with an O. And yes, Wiss is mentioning QMM. That is still pushing up here.
Joe, I've seen you asked me a few times here on AVAV. I'll be honest with you. I don't have any inclination on its earnings. My gut tells me that they would probably guide pretty well given what the given what the outlook looks like on drones, with this being the best in breed. But that's just a gut feeling. I don't have any evidence per se of that. I have no position for the earnings here. They do report after the close here today. The other thing to mention that this might have an impact on other drone stocks. We'll see. But sorry, man, I don't have a trade for you here on AVAV. No position. We might be able to ask Anne Marie about that, though. Let me actually send that over to her now. I did ask about LDI yesterday, but we'll do this here again for AVAV.
You might have a catalyst after earnings for AVAV, because the president and CEO is going to be participating in an upcoming RBC Capital Markets 2025 Global Industrials Conference in New York on September 17th.
Okay.
So there might be a catalyst coming thereafter.
Okay, that's good insight there, 13, as always.
You got it.
And folks, as far as the charts go here, team is aware and looking at it. I will update you as I get anything on this, but I don't actually see like a system outage. I think that this might just be kind of a data issue. And if that's the case, I would expect a resolution here pretty soon. I'll keep you posted on it, though. Definitely annoying. I don't have charts here for you.
Looks like MMA is trying to push back over 2 here.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at off screen here, MMA. See what happens at that 209. VWAP still up there. I've got it at 225 MMA.
Yeah, 225. There's a large seller at 225. 225. I think if we get through that, we're gonna probably easily get up to 250, maybe even higher.
Okay, we'll see if we end up getting this. Volume actually looks pretty good here in MMA.
Yeah.
Here we go, climbing back up to the VWAP.
Yep, let's hammer that 225 and then fly, baby.
Mine actually moved down to 224 here. I'm not in this move, unfortunately. I was a little too slow. There is some size there at 225.
This is a good stop raise area here. So that way you're not going to get
and through.
Perfect. You don't want to lose on MMA at this point. Raise those stops.
Yeah, you guys, that's a good mention here. We're waiting for that non-farm payroll revision. Now, I'm not sure what type of impact that's going to have here on the broader market, but we'll take a look at that. We'll see what we get. Indexes here really kind of holding in. Remember, Red Dog said he expected an inside day yesterday. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw another one today. So far, that call looks pretty darn good. I'll keep an eye here for that revision. Sorry, 13.
It's okay. PD Keat is mentioning tax, or right?
I think that,
or okay. So you're probably referring to Benzinga's tax, right?
I don't know. He might. Tech
or
is moving. TECK is moving. So maybe it's that. Let us know, PD
Yeah,
Kate.
it might be reversing here. QMMM, that's halted to the upside. I think we already mentioned that. CWD still going lower, but it looks like it's trying to find some support down here around 22. So that might be the spot. MMA still trying to get back over $2. That was
actually the chart to me on MMA looks like it's battling with the VWAP right now, right? We traded right up to it. It pulled off of it. It's trying to hold 2 right now. It looks like it's got a little bit of indecision before moving through the VWAP. We'll see if it starts moving higher here. Okay, Joe says, what do you mean by an inside day? Boy, I sure wish I had a chart here to show you. I actually did show... Sorry. At this point, you just have to laugh. I did actually show this earlier. Joe, what I'm talking about is, let's say this candle that SPY made, you can actually do this on your own broker. The candle that SPY made on Friday, the following day, the entire candle was inside that candle. And it looks like we might have another one here today. Again, sorry about my charts. Pull it up on your broker. That's what we mean by inside day. Generally speaking, neither end of that range was taken out. So you're waiting for one of those ranges to be broken, and maybe that determines the next direction here.
MMA is trying to push higher. It's doing so right now. New session highs, looking for a 250 now.
Let me go back. Techs are working on this. They've made some changes. We'll see if this is back. It take a few seconds. MMA is moving here. 250 is your next spot there. Tell you what, this has already been pretty good for any of you trading MMA. And a couple of wins here. I have actually even scalped this here. Was that gonna? No, okay. They took 250 out. Higher we go. I was wondering if it was going to be halted there. Volume's looking good here. MMA 548. Your pre-market high.
I think 275, 280 is going to be the next spot here, but it's probably going to go into a halt. Looks like it's about to.
Yeah, it's going to halt here. 258 if this holds.
Nope, still going.
Nope, and a big pull off that 258 spot. Gil saying a stop order saved me. Look, that's why we have those in there. Gil, I'm sorry that trade was not successful, but frankly, the fact that you have a defensive posture on that, I think that's probably the smart thing to do.
I think stops are going to be your best friend today.
I agree with 13 wholeheartedly on that. Wholeheartedly.
So, even if it stops you out, and for a small gain or a small loss, I mean, look, this is the a very risky day that we're in right now.
Yep.
I mean, we had 8 halts at the same time.
Yep.
I don't think I can recall a time where something that was 100% plus mover, or just have a whole bunch of those all together, all halted at the same time. CWD halted to the downside now, losing the 65 EMA. This one, all the price action was in the pre-market, folks.
First of all, Webcoin here says MMA made my day earlier. You will get a register ring for that, Webcoin. Really good stuff here. Sideshow, I am so proud of this. MMA just got me a large chunk of my MGIH loss back. Sideshow, I'll tell you what, great clawback there. I know we talk a lot about when things aren't working or if you don't feel great, it's okay to walk away. Way to stay focused, not let your emotions kind of get out of control there. Really, really good clawback on that.
And MMA hitting 275 and or 277, I'm sorry, and backing off a little bit. So right to where the resistance area I was looking for is. So I think that might be the trade for now. I'm not saying this is done for the day, but I would expect a little bit of backing off before this goes higher.
Okay, MMA, I still have that high print there. It looks like 277.
Yep.
On my price ladder, it looks like we're going back up towards that spot there.
Yeah, they're getting some support at 276. I'm sorry, 267 right now. Now they're losing it. So I think that 275, 280 is still going to be in play, even if we back off. If it comes up here later again, I think we'll get some better trading above it. If but I think that's going to have to be later, like maybe after the lunch hour or now. I don't know. It's something I don't expect it right now, but it could happen later.
Okay, no position there for MMA for me.
All right,
QMMM is running.
Hey, no problem, Jacob. But everybody's making some money on these names. QMMM is halted. It's been halted. I don't know if this is a new halt or if it was just unhalted and came into a new halt.
I have this here as the 5th halt of the day.
Halted at what time?
10:04:32.
Okay, this is a new one then.
SBLX also halted. That down 7%. Looks like that's halted. Let me take a look at that.
MMA is going to halt. It just keeps going. It's knocking on a door of 3. Actually, they didn't take it. Just hit 3.
Yeah, I see 299. Yeah.
There's
and
3.
now through really good stuff there on MMA. And you know what? This was a good call by our group here. We talked about this probably being a better trader here today than some of these other crazy names. MMA actually giving us a pretty decent move here. Congrats to anyone that hit this.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to come back in a little bit before it goes higher.
I would agree with you. It has that feeling, doesn't it? And didn't we just kind of see that in MGIH? Just had a nice little move and then a really nasty pullback. Want to avoid that here in MMA. This does have the catalyst, though. Don't forget.
Yep. Good trading today, all things considered. Bond ugly. Now that I think came out of their halt. And now this is losing the 65 EMA, coming down to the initial move that it had on the news way in the after hours yesterday. So that's coming. That's gonna be a support area around 190. Looks like we barely touched that a moment ago too. We went down to 193. Now watch Bond just reverse and go back up. All right, so YOUL and halted. That's still getting support from the 65 EMA. Not really interested in that one. It's be interesting to see what happens with QMMM once that's unhalted.
And I am trying to work here with the team. Engineering is aware of this issue. They think they know what to do. So I am expecting a resolution here at some point. Just make sure I got that post up there. I did. Okay.
I don't want to, make any kind of wild predictions or anything, but it seems like Octo is trying to find some footing here. And it's interesting where it's found it. It was the low from the after hours yesterday. So I'm kind of wondering, do we see this turn around or at about here? So some things that need to happen.
When you say turn around, do you mean turn around to move to the upside?
Yes.
Okay.
So one thing that I need to see is I need to see a recapture of VWAP and I need to see a recapture of the 200 EMA. That was previously support in this regular session. It's now resistance. But do you see? Oh, you don't have a chart.
I'm still chartless. I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay if you look in your broker on a 5-minute, you can see going from the after hours into the regular session today, we're down at this 38 support area.
And it actually looks like it's having a tough time moving back through that red-green line or the line really where the after hours stopped and the pre-market started. Actually looks like VWAP's right above that level as well. That's Octo.
Yeah.
OCTO.
So I'm just waiting to see if we get some support at 38. And if this starts to turn around, get that recapture of VWAP and the 200 EMA, We might have another trade set up here in Octo. Meanwhile, a lot of stuff just looking like it's hammered ass. Bonds.
Bitcoin. The first check in on Bitcoin for me here. Bitcoin pulling. So actually ahead of the market. The market's bucking this trend. Bitcoin down to 112,400 on the futures, straight down. Bitcoin. Let's see if that leads the way down.
MMA went up to 307 and then it pulled, and it's now trading at 253. So that gut feeling that we had was right.
Kamal's asking if CWD is done. I'll tell you what, I don't have the chart to show you here, but it looks not great. CWD back into an 18 handle. I hesitate to say that it is for sure done, because we've actually seen some of these really retrace a huge impulse move and then get rolling later in the day.
Yep.
So maybe put it on your watch list, but I certainly don't see a setup right here where we're at CWD.
No, and the next areas I see for support are going to be 1530 and the 200 EMA at 930. So those would be the next areas of support I'd be looking for on CWD if you want to watch for some bottoming to set up a trade. It doesn't look like you're going to get some bottoming at the moment right now. The MACD is kind of indicating that this downside momentum hasn't finished yet. But I would think that maybe later on in the afternoon or after the lunch hour, if this does find some footing, you may get some better trades out of this. So just something to watch for CWD. I just don't think that right now there's anything that it's really showing us that we can trade on.
Okay. Also, those payroll revisions, those did come in. Good mention here from our chat. Minus 911,000 versus the prior minus 598,000 read.
Thank you, Wis, for that mention. QMMM. I just noticed that is open. It went higher. So new regular session high. Now it's pulling a little bit. We did have, this is the one that had that wild pop all the way up to 31.38 just moments before we opened. But it seems like this $21 area, or maybe even the $20 area, might be about where this goes. Now, if this comes back and gets support from VWAP, I think that we might be able to there's a chance it could come back up and make some higher prints later in the day. But I'm not sure how much higher it's going to go for now. CWD still going lower.
Lion here saying he's not selling UNH. I'll take a quick look at UNH here. UNH did pop in the pre-market here on the back of that news. It's basically right at VWAP right now. We talked about this has a potential gap fill above. And that looks like that fills up to about 376. No indication that we're going to get that yet. So far rejected at that gap entry.
And MMA is halted to the downside. All right. Well, here we go. Some more QMMM. That's pushing higher. I don't know how much higher this goes. But don't let me tell you how to trade this if you're in this. Just be careful. It's one of the junk names.
PD Kate asking about Easy Go. That's just a really crappy penny stock that had a jump earlier in the pre-market. Nothing but weakness ever since then. Way beneath the VWAP. You can't see the chart here. There is nothing that looks appealing about Easy Go. And I'm going to keep rolling through some of these charts that you folks are suggesting here in my broker. So I'll take a look at them and I'll see them. Sorry, I can't share them yet.
Technical issues. Sorry.
This one definitely a frustrating one.
QMM is looking like really the only thing that's providing some moves right now. Maybe MGIH, but the volume is pretty crappy on that one.
Zach says for Easy Go, easy, just let it go.
Yeah.
Frankly, I would agree with you. I don't think there's anything there. I don't think there's anything there.
Yeah, I think just trade how you're going to trade. Things are are wild today, but just be careful and you'll be okay. Oh, I think we might be getting our charts back.
Yeah, I think so too. It looks like something finally loaded here. It looks like that new pod's probably coming online. I told you the team was on it. It's definitely annoying, but we'll see if we get that data back here. Okay, my chart is back for Zone. This was another one of those that issued that Bitcoin treasury strategy last night and popped. It's not had a great day here today. Brandon says, I'd hate to be the owner of a company that is a penny stock with Ryan dogging on him all day. You know what, Brandon? I don't think those owners are going to care. First of all, if they're a CEO, they probably don't give a damn about my opinion. And secondly, if they're in the business to scam, they doubly don't care. I would imagine that doesn't matter.
These CEOs know exactly what they're running. They know exactly what these companies are. Let's make no mistake about that. These are ATMs to them.
Yeah.
That's all they are.
Here's Wolf. Mazur, we did not miss it on Wolf. We covered Wolf earlier. Nothing new has happened. This is basically sitting at its 200 EMA. Maybe it bounces from here. We've seen that with some of the other names, but no indication of that yet. No one missed your messages, man. There's a lot of people here.
We are 15 minutes away from the 10:30 time where we do see volume leave the market. So keep that in mind as you're wrapping up your trades or executing new ones. Just make sure you're taking care of yourself here, because this is about the time where people get up from their desks. Look at QMMM now. That's halted the downside after hitting 22.24. I mean, I think I'm finished for the morning.
Yeah, I don't.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's. I'll tell you what, the day trading has actually not been terrible.
Nope.
I'm almost hesitant to say that because I said that the Bears looked good last night, and then all of a sudden it went to hell. So I don't want the same thing to happen here with the trading session.
They look actually really good for the first half of the game, and then
the first three quarters. But unfortunately, football's a 4-quarter game, and they found a way to lose. NBIS is getting mentioned here. Is it curling, guys? I would have really liked to have seen this actually test the 200. We've seen a slow grind down here. So if you're going to trade this on any type of curl, just make sure you have a stop set or you have your risk parameters aligned. I don't know that the intraday bottom is in yet. Maybe we curl here. I'd like to see that get confirmed with buying volume. We don't have it yet though, folks.
So you see how like yesterday in the after hours when it ran up and then it found a bottom in the after hours, that's going to be a resistance area now.
Yep.
So if
Bingo.
If we can't get back above that, I think it still goes lower.
Hey, Jared. Yep. Done, son. Quitting well ahead. 4 winners today.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, on a day where there's a big pullback in one of our little small stocks and a lot of crazy stuff going on, Jared, for you to be 4 for 4, not bad, buddy. Really good stuff today. Great job.
Is MMA done for today? I don't know if it's done for the day. It looks like for the morning at the least, it could be maybe more difficult to trade. It is approaching that 10:30 time where volume does leave the market. So I don't know how much of a good trade you're going to get from here. But maybe in the afternoon today, this might start getting some attention again. So certainly don't take these names off your radar. But I don't think that these are really a good idea to be getting in now. It seems like at this stage, you could be setting yourself up for a red day if you tried it here, I think.
Yep. Lion here says 3 winners, and I'm still hurting, Ryan. Lion, I'm in the exact same
boat.
Hunting.
He's hunting.
I'm in the exact same boat that you're in. I'm down because of the swing. Obviously, it's on this. It's, it is what it is. It is what it is, though, here. The good news is that the new trades that we're making have been all right. So we're actually kind of cushioning that a little bit here.
He's not hurting. He's hunting.
Okay.
So he's winning and he's looking for more. He's salivating. He's foaming at the mouth. He wants more lion meat.
Hans says long coin right here. Hans, what do you have here for a plan? I'm assuming that you're looking for this to really kind of break 314 here. Let me know what the trade plan is here, including a stop on coin. It is worth mentioning that if this has any type of continued upside momentum, 337-ish is a potential gap fill area on coin. Let me know, Hans, what the trade plan is there on that.
CWD trying to recapture at 65 EMA. You may be getting a little bit of an expansion here in volume. Again, I'm not touching this one. There's I don't know how high this is going to go. Maybe it hits VWAP and comes back in, but it's certainly looking like it's trying to put in some kind of a bottom and push back up. But I would just I'm I'm not touching it, but hey, if this looks good for anybody else, there you go. Something might be happening here with CWD.
Now I see why you guys were talking about the hunting thing. I just straight up misread that. I'm so sorry. 13, I bless you for trying to correct me and me just rolling right through it. I mean, you're a saint.
It's okay. Sometimes those N's and R's, they look the same.
I mean, especially with the chats moving, you're trying to read stuff, trying to look at 8 different things. I'll make excuses till the cows come home. Sorry about that, Lion. Good stuff, though.
I thought you just kind of heard me like, yeah, okay. Anyway,
no. I was trying to get through everything that I had before it disappeared, and I just simply misread it. At least we're having a good old laugh about it.
Raffle says Hive with 2 exclamation points. Let's look at
let's see. This one I feel like gets mentioned quite a bit on the show here. This is at the highs here, pretty decent volume. Did we have news on this though?
Let's see. We have reports 22% Bitcoin production increase in August.
Yep. That looked like that was probably a partner story. Probably happened yesterday, so I'm not sure if that's breaking news, but good nonetheless.
It's not, because they announced the same news early yesterday morning with more details, and now it's just rehashed news.
Okay, that makes sense. Is Octo halted? Yes, I show Octo halted here, 4303. Yassine?
Yep. On a big green volume candle. So this looks like
so
it's
halted to the upside,
trying to turn around here. And this is what I was talking about where it needs to go. You need to get back above VWAP and get back above this 200 EMA. It's currently halted above both of those. So this might be turning around. Let's see what we get out of this halt here. The next resistance area that I'd see from this point is going to be 45, and then the 65 EMA at 47.
Okay, we do have CWD moving through the VWAP. I actually have the VWAP here in my broker at 2167. I've got it at 2314 in TradingView. This is trying to curl here.
MMA is unhalted. This is trying to recapture VWAP. So this might be setting up to make another push up to 3. Watch the volume. I think that's going to tell you whether or not it's going to be able to or not.
Well, I tell you what, CWD.
Yeah, certainly trying to turn around as well.
Yeah, it's trying. It's right at the VWAP. It's spread a little bit here. I do think entry here is risky. Coin, first target. Thank you, Hans. Coin, first target was 313. Second was 316, which is your anchored VWAP level. Thank you, Hans, for the trade plan there on Coin.
Justin's mentioning NBIS.
Yeah, we were taking a look at that curling here. Are we getting more of that, Justin?
Be careful with that one, I think. I still think be careful with that one. Hold on, let me look at my broker here. Double check.
Yeah. The one thing that I had just said, what we really want to see on a confirmation of this curl is the volume to follow suit. It's not doing that yet. Volume's still compressing here, so maybe just a little bit of a bounce.
Yeah, so that support that it had in the after hours, that's going to be resistance at this stage, I think, because we're trading beneath it. So it looks like 89 to 90. That's your resistance area at this point.
Okay. Yeah, then and just as the graphical representation, that's about the low here of the after hours session when NBIS pulled back off the impulse move. CWD, by the way, pulled back a little bit. They're still battling with the VWAP. Not sure we have a clear direction there. Very getting mentioned here by Ryan. Very also appearing on the relative volume scanner here.
Oh.
New highs on Very.
Very nice.
Very well done there.
Also, we're still getting some momentum, a little bit of momentum in MMA. That's still looking for 3. Got a seller in the way at 288.
Okay.
Is this short interest right for Veritone? Yes, almost 12% of the float shorted, 2.23 days to cover. Yeah, it just looks like a lot of these names are just trying to recapture some levels, but on a lot less volume than they had earlier. So
yeah,
all that in mind.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the broader market here. Joe, did the explanation of the inside day make sense? I can probably show that to you now. Now that we have the charts back here, SPY just chopping around. Qs is the same deal. I guess Dow's the same deal here as well. So it does kind of look like some more chop here in the broader indices. Really quickly, just to tie this all together. Oh, I don't think I have a daily chart there. Uh-oh. Let me see if I can. No, I can resolve another. Let me flip to my other chart here real quick. Lou says, looks like risk off. Honestly, Lou, if you don't find anything great, risk off seems like probably a smart move here. Tara says, I'm done. Had 3 good trades this morning. You guys have an awesome day. Bye.
You too.
Take care, Tara. Really good stuff. And I think, again, highlighting some of the discipline there.
Yep. I love to see it.
Here we go.
Great morning with everybody here.
Yeah, that looked like my last chart there having some kind of issue. Okay, Joe, the inside day. So looking at the SPY daily chart here, you can see this candle right here. See how the next 2 candles are completely inside the range of that previous candle? This is what an inside day means. Let me know if that explanation answers your question. CWD looks like it ends up being rejected at the VWAP as we move down to a 19 handle now. CWD.
Here's something interesting about VERI. Earlier this month, I know it hasn't been a very long month, D. Boral Capital assumes Veritone at buy, announced a $6 price target. That was last Tuesday. Today, they raised it to 26. So I don't know what happened in a week, but they think it's worth $20 more than what they originally said.
Okay. Mama Bear asking about NBEX. I don't actually have that. NBEX. NBEX. I don't have a ticker for that. Looks like you're talking about that being a levered ETF. That's just, look, if you're going to day trade NBIS and you want more juice on the trade, you would use the ETF for that. NBIS moves pretty good. I would probably just trade the underlying, frankly.
Looks like MMA still not able to get back up to 3. Still trying though. Hasn't given up yet.
Yeah.
And Webcoin mentioning SBLX. I don't think we saw that one. Let's see here.
SBLX, that was a halt thing. I saw that on the halt tool earlier. Here you go.
Yeah, this is another low float, low market cap name. They've got an investment in stablecoin infrastructure. So another one of those, I guess, crypto treasury, names. They're buying fluid tokens too. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Regarding UNH, up about 3% now. We're still shy of the gap entry there. I'd like to see what happens if we get in that. I think long term, we talked again with Red Dog earlier. It was looking like he was bullish on healthcare here. I think UNH, this is actually not a bad spot. If you think this is going to come back at all, or you like the news here this morning regarding them reiterating their forward guidance 13, they announced they intend, I guess you had covered that earlier. Why do they announce that they intend? Why don't they just announce it? Nonetheless, though, here, if you think this goes higher, it's actually not a bad spot for UNH.
One more thing with SBLX, they have a Form S they put out yesterday.
Okay.
So keep that in mind because this seems like this could be one of those, those companies where they needed the capital. They were, running into problems. So it looks like it's a new company. Was this a ticker change? Because that's what it looks like. Like they did a reverse split recently, did a ticker change, and now they're doing an offering. Just be careful with this one. It seems like the offering could come at any moment with this one.
Wiss asking me, do I have Canelo or Crawford this weekend? I'm actually not a UFC watcher. So I don't really know. I'd be happy to give you like a shot in the dark guess if that's what you want. But the guy that does watch a lot of UFC is Jacob. Unfortunately, he's a Vikings fan, so I won't be speaking with him today. I don't have a line on your Canelo or Crawford fight. Sorry, my man.
Looks like MMA still trying to, I don't know if it's going to be able to get up there. But MMA is trying to push up through this trend line here. If you draw it from the pre-market to the session high, we're knocking on the door of this trend line here, and we're trying to get above it. Yeah.
Oh, boxing, not MMA. Sorry, guys. Again, as you can see, not To quote Ocean's 11, hand-to-hand combat does not interest me. Canelo all year round. There you go. Lion gave you the call. That's what it is.
All right. It looks like MMA is about to make a push through that trend line.
I was set up to fail right there. We're literally trading MMA. It's one of our things here, and they're asking me about boxers instead of MMA fighters. I mean, I was literally set up to fail by the chat there. But you guys got me. I got it a few times here today.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any appeal left in boxing when they're making a mockery of the sport. When you have Jake Paul fighting Tyson in an exhibition, now you have Tyson fighting Mayweather. It's like, what are these guys fighting for besides money? Our money, you know. It's not going to be a real fight. It's not going to be anything I'm interested in seeing. If Tyson was allowed to unleash, then I'd be like, let's go. Let's watch this.
Let's, speaking of hand-to-hand combat, we'll watch MMA. I'll tell you what, same setup exists here, though. Break through that trend line, especially if this is accompanied with buying volume. You might be in really good shape here.
SBLX just unhalted, gapped up, created one of the most bullish candles you can see, and then halted again.
CWD might be making another attempt at the VWAP here, but be careful with that if you trade it. PD Kate, I'm 6.5 feet tall.
It looks like DSY is still trying to make that turnaround happen. Still hasn't found its footing yet. CWD trying to turn around. That looks like it's put in more of a base than DSY does, but volume needs to be better.
Yeah, CWD. Remember, though, on CWD, we actually already saw one fake out here. Don't be faked out again. I think the big key here is that if you trade this, you're going to have a plan in case this doesn't work.
Or just have your stops ready.
Yeah. Like you had said earlier, 13, I think you gave the best advice of the day here. Stops are going to be your best friend here today. I love watching you smile when you read nonsense comments. Look, part of the whole thing here is having fun. And it's like, if we were just serious, this trading is a serious game. If we were just serious all of the time, I don't think it would be as enjoyable. Gotta laugh, gotta smile, gotta get some type of levity throughout the course of your trading day.
Also keep an eye on Octo. If we start getting volume in that again, it might be able to turn back up and get over 42 again.
Do you have a level on Octo that we should really be paying attention to? Because I think you're right there on the volume.
We're kind of right at this area here. Like it's between 42 and 44 that I think is a bit of a tough spot right now. But then if we can get above that, I'd be looking at the lows from the pre-market as the next resistance areas.
Okay. JL saying, I watch the 5-second candles when it's volatile. You know, I'd be open for any other tips that you folks have on stuff like that. Does that end up working for you? Those candles?
Yeah.
I feel like you almost get too many head fakes on that. WD, by the way, look at that rejection that we talked about.
It's I can understand how it works for some people. I feel like when you're watching really buy the tick or 5 or seconds long candles, you're elevating your stress levels a little bit more.
Yeah, that's you know what, 13, that's exactly my feeling on that too. I just don't love that. I really don't. I like when the trade feels like it's behaving a little bit slowly, which is one of the reasons I generally stay away from some of this like really crazy mover junk. But I'm open to tips. If you guys think that those really fast charts are actually helpful, I'm open to that. I'm not sure I believe that.
And I've tried it too, and it worked, sometimes, but it's, I feel like it really saps my patience.
Yeah.
So I just don't use those time frames.
And again, the other thing here about this is that if you're really kind of toying with your emotions and your patience, you're actually just making a hard job even harder. Mm-hmm. So I just don't think that any of that stuff is necessary here. All right, CWD rejected by the VWAP. We'll see if that firms up again. MMA, maybe we're crossing through that trend line. What do you think?
I'm watching it right now. Just waiting to see if we get that push that we're looking for. That push through. What is this like? I guess it'd be about 280 or 290, 280, 290 that we need to get through here. We're on the doorstep of 270.
Okay.
And it looks like we're trying to make that move right now. Let's see if we get this follow through.
The difference between the 5 minute and the 1 minute is Zen versus erotic. I don't think that's what you meant, but maybe. I'm just trying to read the comments.
No, I've
me.
got so many thoughts running through my memory that my mind that I can't share right now. But hey, it's neurotic is what he's saying.
Neurotic. Got it. Not erotic. Okay, that makes more sense. Sorry, Zach. Didn't mean to put that juju on you. MMA though, what do we think here? We going through the trend line here?
It looks like it's certainly trying. It needs more volume, and we are at 1033 where volume doesn't really stick around. So let's see if we end up getting that. It might be a quick move, and then that's it. But we'll see.
Here, Perry mentioning that. Raffle, excuse me, mentioning that something scared the market here. Remember, when we have these down moves, we're seeing that in the Qs and the SPY here. When we have those down moves, should actually help us identify relative strength a little bit better. Also, if we have these down moves in the market, I would not be surprised if we have a little bit of a move back towards that dash for trash. Not guaranteeing that, but just something to watch for here.
Oh yeah, market's getting pulled now.
Michael says, I've had some great laughs here. Okay, then the job is done. I think you've also made some money here.
Yep. Jared, neurotic to the bone, no doubt about it.
Oh, we're now we've got 13 singing songs. Also did not have that on my bingo card here today.
Well, I mean, if you're going to bring Green Day into this, I'll invoke my junior high years.
Didn't we talk about Green Day yesterday? Isn't Amanda taking her kid to see Green Day or something?
I believe that was it.
Where is Amanda here today?
No, I'm not going to drop any of those bars.
MMA, by the way, still staying under that trend line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I was saying, the volume needs to be a little bit better, but I'm not counting it out yet. It still looks like it wants to break that trend line. It just might happen fast. What's energy doing today?
Take a look at that. You want to take a look at XLE?
That's looking not too bad. It's actually a nice move in XLE today. Got probably some news happening out of the Middle East.
Yeah, there was a strike, right? I think Israel struck Hamas again.
MMA.
Probably what's going on. Let's take a look here. MMA, we breaking that trend line?
It just went right up to it. It's trying to take it.
What happened? See if we get that here. Here you go on MMA.
Yep. Saudi news says, is he? All right. So might be something out of OPEC Plus. Or something affecting OPEC, maybe. I think MMA volume needs to be a little bit better than this.
I was going to say I do too. To me, it almost feels like we're setting up for a pull away from this here.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt to raise stops if that's the feeling on the matter.
MMA spreading maybe 3 tops. You think this is going lower, huh, Tuna? MMA looks like a rejection there at that VWAP. Actually, let me try refreshing my platform here real quick. It did look like it tried to push through that, but it didn't have the strength. I almost wonder if it does it on another attempt here, MMA.
So the 200-week EMA, is at 286.
Okay, here you go on MMA. I'll tell you what, those wicks above don't look great here. This is going to need a volume pop here soon, I'm thinking.
Yeah, if it doesn't happen here, maybe that happens later on in the day. But this is This is not a breakout we're looking for here. We need to see a bigger expansion of volume. And we need to see that weekly EMA get taken out.
Yeah, PD Kate here says MMA is done. What do you folks think? Tuna, you think it's done too? It sounds like it.
Could be for the morning. I don't know about the day.
Yeah. Ryan, watch the market is pulling down. Yeah, we had mentioned that. Market at the lows here. We'll see if that bounces or if that sets up a trade.
All right. Time to look at the TQQQ, see if it's setting up. Oh, I think it might be.
Let me pull it up here real quick. We'll do that. Got about 20 minutes still. Anne Marie here. No Paul Meeks today.
Just shy of $1 away from VWAP at its most extended. SPL.
Yeah, Wiz, I'm wondering the same thing. Where's the Crow been? Tuna, can you let us know? Where's Crow been? Hopefully he's doing okay.
Oh, that glitters. We've looked at SBLX. That thing's still halted. We looked at this one. We talked about it. It was halted when we talked about it like 20 minutes ago. It unhalted. Now it's unhalted again. It's going higher, and it'll probably go into another halt. This thing's over 10 now.
We can watch this if this is what you guys want. I just don't know what a trade setup here is on this one.
And it's going into another halt. I mean, if you believe it, you just gotta grab it what you can and hold on. But that's very, very dangerous. So, and there it is, another halt. So there's no real setup for an entry yet here in this one, unless you just want to try to catch a moving train. But yeah, this thing is flying. We've talked about this one. It's certainly on a tear.
The Crow is in a bubble at the market open. He comes out a little bit later. Well, we'd like to have his bubble be in here, Smoke Tuna. I'll message him. I'll see how he's doing. Appreciate that, though.
All right. Well, it looks like
none of these looking great.
We've come down to some of the lows from yesterday, so we might get a market turnaround here. So we were in this range yesterday between two previous all-time highs, those being 647.36 and 649.48. So that range there is where the price action for the SPY was bouncing around yesterday. So far, that same range has been holding up this morning, especially with this bounce we just got from that 647.36 previous all-time high. So might see a little bit of a turnaround here in the market.
Okay, we'll see if we get that here. The market is trying to bounce TQQQ. Really good call on the entry. I mean, I guess we'll see if this turns around here. I didn't take this 13, but you did mention pretty much right there at the dead bottom. MMA halted.
Halted to the downside? Yeah, rejection.
Yeah, so that I'll tell you what, that trend line rejection, once again, that is going to tell the story for us.
So we'll see if later on in the day it can get back above that. But yeah, this didn't have the volume to push through that area where the 200-week EMA was. Yeah, SBLX. That the time to get into that was, when it was selling out of the open.
Yeah. And
it's interesting too because if you look to the left. It came down pretty much almost exactly to the lows it's been putting in for this month.
That's SBLX, right? Here you go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's
okie dokie.
QMMM, that continues to get halted down. What's up?
Yeah, I was going to say, do we see any setups on any of these movers that we talked about? I don't think so.
Nope, it's a slaughter fest. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything really setting up right now. We're getting a lot less volume in the market. I think that the better trades are going to come later on in the day, if there's going to be any to be had at all.
Okay.
Do you think the market is responding?
Raffle, which one are you talking about? Market is red already. Pulled pork. Raffle, what stock rate? Buyers in? It might turn. What are you talking about? I don't even know what instrument you're talking about, unless you're just talking about the broader market. Let me know.
Do you think the market is responding to the job growth revision? Yes, I think that's part of it. probably a big part of it. I know that we didn't get an immediate response in the market when that number came out, but it seems like it started to gain traction. I'm not trying to jinx you, my man. SBLX, yeah, we've looked at that one. That's halted for, I don't know, the millionth time today. Izzy is scalping Loan Depot.
That's LDI. That was a mover yesterday. This was actually not bad yesterday. Looks kind of weak here today. I guess maybe Izzy on a move through the VWAP. You get a scalp there? I don't know, though.
We almost did what I thought we were going to do with backfill that gap in Loan Depot. Didn't go all the way, but came pretty close.
Barat asking if we think we fill the gap here on NBIS. You're talking about a move down to 70, fill this entire gap from this 50% move higher? That would be something else, wouldn't it?
Play that directional ETF if you think that's the case.
JL is asking if we ever watch the tape. This has got to be one of your first days here. We do that constantly. We talk about the level 2 often. We talk about what we see in terms of buys and sells across that tape. Yes, we absolutely do that. It's a completely different crowd trading today, which is why the market feels off. Looks like the China pumps are overshadowing stronger setups and draining volume for the quality plays. Sure feels like that, Tuna. I think that's a pretty good mention here.
Yeah, we start
definitely feels like that.
We get these multiple 100% runners in a single day. That tends to indicate how frothy the market's become. It might be simply in the top. So we'll see if that's going to be the case. MMA open now, heading lower.
Okay, checking that out.
Could be support coming at around 175, but I'm not going to be touching this until the afternoon if I decide to touch it at all.
To me, MMA all about the trend line. Whatever it does down here is great. If it takes the trend line out, then maybe something changes there, but no guarantee that that's going to happen. Baba getting mentioned here. We talked about this being a gap and go earlier. This has finally come in and taken out that 9 EMAs. That's probably over. See if this maybe grinds higher here. 148 looks like the upside resistance there in Baba.
Big B's, that's probably, true, but I don't know that the immediate drop that we got was just everybody kind of thinking all at the same time, oh crap, we have these listing changes. I don't think you're wrong. I just think that I don't know that that's what caused the initial drop. I think it had more to do with the revisions.
Samel asking, are you buying NBIS at this level? I'm not. I did scalp that one earlier, and I would not necessarily be opposed to scalping that one again today. But not right here. I mean, I guess maybe if it holds this, maybe you get a move back, but I don't, like we were talking about earlier, really want to see more volume flow in there for that to be the stock to trade. I'll tell you what, SPY is bouncing here in 13. That means that your TQQQ call there was pretty good so far.
And SBLX, this thing unhalted, took a big leg down and it's into another halt now. So there might be some support coming at 8 out of the next halt. I don't know. I mean, this thing has been wild. But $8 looks like the next support area out of the halt for SBLX, something to watch for. Looks like a lot of these names we were looking at this morning are trying to put in some bottoms here and turn around. Wolf, maybe. Looks like tax trying, bonds trying. I don't have any real faith in any of these with the current time that we're in. Looks like Octo is continuing to head lower, got rejected from that 200 EMA on the 5-minute and VWAP.
Okay. Is Octo setting up or fizzling? Nancy's wondering on Octo.
On Octo?
This feels like fizzling to me after that other move. It really has not shown many signs of strength. I guess this 1 5-minute candle in here where it bounced off the after hours low. To me, though, this feels like it's fizzling.
Yeah, I think that if we break the low that we put in this regular session here, we're the next support's going to be down at 34.
Okay. Do we see anything else weird here? Bond, that's not one I can buy.
Yeah, I think it's just probably better to wait for volume to come back in the market.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Michelle's asking, how do we discern pump and dumps? We don't really do anything in the scanner. We try to look through the stock. 13, I feel like you did a really good job looking through that. You had 3 of them that you had identified early as pump and dumps in there. Basically, we're looking at where it comes from, what's moving, if it's moving on any news or not, and then whether or not, I guess, you're seeing it mentioned elsewhere. I don't know that there's necessarily a scanner setting that we use for that, though, Michelle. PD says, I'll buy a bond for you. 0, dude. I don't want anything associated with that risk.
Yeah, I think we had some really interesting day trading opportunities, but none of these really look great at all to just pick up and hold through the rest of the day or into the next day. These are just going to be trading vehicles today. Make sure I think the best play is just to be in cash after all this. Maybe there's something that sets up later in the day, but I think at the end of the day, you want to be in cash.
Yeah, not a great day to try and go hit for those home runs too, right? That's the other thing.
All right. Well, hey, congratulations on your ownership of Bond, Ryan.
Okay, sweet. I own it through a proxy. Let's go. My first ever proxy trade. Thank you, PD Kate. Too bad, he says when I say no. That's just heart and upfield vision right there. That's what we talk about. Lion says, don't hate my company, Ryan. We'll try. We're not much of haters around here.
Yeah, just indifference.
Bitcoin, we talked about that selling off earlier. Bitcoin, it looks like, has put in at least a near-term bottom here. We'll see if that holds today. You know, Bitcoin with that move down kind of told us that it was risk off, right? I mean, it ended up being that way. Yeah. It ended up being that way. It felt like there wasn't a whole lot of spec there. Smoke Tuna is saying that the market feels a little bit different. So maybe we do have some of those other traders kind of going after things here today, making it more difficult for us.
Yeah, and I think just keep an eye on what that price action in SPY is going to do, because it doesn't look like it's really on the recovery. It did go up to that 648, so we got that, but I don't know if it's going to recapture or if it's going to make its way up to that 649.48 previous all-time high immediately. It might take a little bit longer. So just waiting to see what we end up getting here. I have no positions. I'm just kind of wanting to see.
Yeah, neither do I. None on the board right now. Had a couple of them early. Don't feel great now. Not about to make things worse.
And there are some, I will point out, there are some companies that look like they are trying to turn around here. I mean, Wolf, WOLF, that's looking like it's starting to curl. Volume needs to be better, though. NBIS is kind of the same thing. NMA, a little bit of the same thing. I just don't know that these are going to give the trades that we're looking for here, because the volume has left the market for the time being, and we're probably not going to get the follow through we're looking for. SBLX, that unhalted again, now lower at VWAP. So things still coming in, but I don't think that these are necessarily done for the day. I just think that they're just cooling off for now. Low volume environment, waiting for the afternoon. They might. I think some of these will come back and trade better.
Barat, you were asking earlier, I think, Barat, asking about CoreWeave here. Maybe as long as this 86 double bottom holds here, I don't necessarily, to me, this is still in a downtrend here. I don't know that we've really broken this downtrend, so I'm not sure that I necessarily want to fight that. Let me know if there's some reason you think this is going to go back up. I don't see it here. Does look like it was kind of rejected at one of those EMAs there. Let me go to my bigger chart here on CoreWeave real quick. See if there's anything else that jumps out there at me.
While you do that, I'll look at ISPC.
That's just that's a penny stock that's popping here. I don't see a new trade setup.
It's over $1, so I'll look at it for sure.
Barat, really quickly here. I think we want to hold the 20-day, right? Looks like we're kind of flirting with that area right now. I know we popped above it, but we've pulled back to that area. Maybe this can turn around tomorrow. I'd like to see a close above the 20, though. That's just me.
So ISPC, this is another crypto treasury name. They are going to be, they advanced their 200 million Solana-based digital asset strategy. something they said earlier this month. So this is probably just, I don't see any news that it's moving on. It's probably just moving with the other crypto treasury names. That would be my thought. There is a Form S out here, so keep that in mind. This could do a capital raise pretty soon. So just keep that in mind as you trade this. But ISPC moving with the other crypto names.
Okay. To me, this looks like a trap.
It's a trap.
It could be.
That's what it looks like. Given the environment that we're seeing here today and what this is going on, the chart formation here does kind of feel trappy to me.
Let's see here. Let me see if I can figure out something with my broker about where ISPC might go. So it went right to 130, backed off. We're still above VWAP, so it's got that going for it. 134 was a pre-market high earlier this month on the 5th. So that could maybe explain why we got a rejection at 130 just now. Let's see here. Looking more to the left for any kind of idea of why or where this might find resistance.
Trappy and crappy. Did we just invent something here with the help of Izzy? Trappy and crappy?
Sure. Patent pending.
Did we just hear from Admiral Akbar? We did. We did, as a matter of fact. That's one of my favorite drops of all time, by the way.
So I think beyond 130, levels to watch for or of resistance for ISPC are going to be 150, 175. I do like 190 as well, and then you have 215 after that. So I would say those next three levels might be, of course, you have the $2 psych level as well, but beyond $2, 215 looks like that's going to be a big resistance area. That's where you have the 200-day EMA. So we're through 130 now, so we're chewing through 135. Might go into a halt here with ISPC. So not trapping yet, but just be careful because now we're in a halt. There we go. All right. And by the time that unhalts, I'll probably be already out off the stream. So good luck with ISPC.
Yeah, just look, just be careful with any of these bigger movers here. Just be careful with them. ZNB2. ZNB was a mover that we looked at yesterday, wasn't it, Wiss? Am I getting that right? Was it? Pretty sure this was yesterday. Yep. And we had continuation here today.
Is this another one of those treasury names?
This is the Zeta Network Group. Yesterday.
Oh, IPO, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, it looks like this was a new trade. New issue there.
Okay. Well, I don't even know what they do. So not touching that one. Hey, Rob. Yeah, I'm almost about ready to jump off here, but not quite yet. Don't worry. I'll say goodbye.
They're going to miss you, 13.
It's okay. I'll be back tomorrow.
That's true.
And we'll have another good day. Google
that
strong
is
today.
True. Hopefully a better day than today, frankly.
All things considered, moving our way through all the BS, we found some good stuff. I'm
That's
really
true.
proud of our group.
That's true. Well said.
Yeah, we are grinding higher in Google. Actually, we didn't get higher than yesterday, but we are trying to. We're not there quite yet. Yesterday's high was 238.13. So looking for 240. Google very extended, by the way. So if this comes back in and tests that trend line that we drew, that would probably be a very good technical move to kind of alleviate the pressure off the RSI. And then we get support from the trend line. Let's go for 240. Oh, what do you think? Does that sound good to you?
I'm sorry. I was actually reading the chat. I'm sorry, 13.
It's okay. No, I'm just kind of wondering if, Google should come. Okay, so Ryan, Summerall, I think that sounds about.
Oh, you were
right.
asking him. I got it.
Well, that's why I said the last day because I didn't want to you to think I was trying to ask you. But no, this it does look like it's going to come back in and maybe test that trend line. So you have that trend line on your daily chart still, Ryan?
You know what? I might have that on my bigger daily. Let's see though. Here it is. Is this what is this the trend line? No, I've got this one on both.
Yeah, so that trend line on the top there, I would like to see the price come back in and get support from that before we go higher. I think that'd be good. I think it'd be good.
Okay, we'll see if we end up getting that stuff there. Google.
So TQQQ was a pretty good trade.
Yeah, that was a really timely call. I didn't take it. I probably should have. Really timely call on that though. 13.
It seems to really work almost all the time when you get this extension away, whether it be TQQQ or SQQQ.
Yeah.
As long as it's got that extension away of the values that we're, the predetermined values we're looking for are really close to it, it works out so well most of the time, if not all the time. I do it frequently. This is one of the, I got to shout out Andy. That was one of the greatest mentions, because I didn't even think about that or even trying to figure this out. But he said, yeah, when it gets this distance, it usually reverses. When SQQ gets this distance, it usually reverses.
And it gives you something to look at every day, no matter what the market is doing. You can actually see if that sets up for you every single day.
So when the market's getting a big pull like it did today, and it's pretty steep, I'm going to the TQQQ and the SQQQ and see, or in this case it would be the TQQ, and seeing if we can get like that dollar extension away, $1 to $25, $1.50 extension away from VWAP. And if we do, that's usually a time for it to reverse.
Okay.
Hey,
13, we're out of time here today. Any closing words for the group? Good stuff from you.
Hey, folks, wonderful day with you today. We found a whole bunch of junk movers, and we traded some of them. We made some money. We had a good day. You have Anne-Marie coming up next. Great options, gal. You're going to enjoy her. She's going to show you some interesting trades here with the options and make some money there, too. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
All right, 13, really good stuff. As always, take care. We will see him tomorrow. 13's departure leaves room for Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, happy Tuesday. How you doing here today?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. I can see you. We are a go. What do you got for us?
Awesome. Well, we got a couple of things. Let's talk about Google.
Perfect. That's where we left off. So that's a good segue there.
Good place to look. Let's take a peek at this daily structure, right? Of course, the Gemini news sort of circumvented this topping tail here, but we still have not breached the big fat round number. And so my thought is that this downward flow of volume is probably going to send us back down to the pocket, especially once people start to digest the revision of the jobs news.
Mm-hmm.
That downward revision is troublesome. And do remember that when the Fed lowers rates, they're concerned about, whatever. And that inevitably filters into the market. In very big discussions, there was an article I read about the top CEOs of Fortune 500s, and it asks them, when interest rates are lower, does that give you an impetus to spend money? And most of them said no. Now, the more debt they had, the more likely they were to refinance debt, but it does not force them into capital expenditures, which increase their output in general for future growth. So I thought that was an interesting study. I'll find it and Slack it to you just for reference's sake.
Perfect.
But let's take a look at a two-way trade. All right. First of all, I have an iron condor that is really, I have to roll it. This is an existing position that I have that is getting blown out, but I'm going to give it a couple of days to see what I can do. And so in the next couple of days, I'll see about rolling it. But if we're thinking about, hey, listen, once October comes in, seasonality kicks in, we get ourselves a little boost into the end. that could be a very nice upward trade. And so that is the November 235, 245, 255 butterfly
Okay.
for $1.28. So if price action moves to the upside, this is a very nice place. It's very close to where it's defending its price levels. And that 245 zone gives us an upward thrust. We could probably see, anywhere from a 100 to 300% return on that
Okay.
one. For the near term, as we sort of try to stabilize what's going on, we expect a fade from this 235. So in a rare place, I actually have that put almost at the money. And so it's a little bit more expensive, but if it fades into frontline support, which is that 225 zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the clear frontline support
Right.
based on heavy volume. It's going to deliver results. Not only that, if it fades a little bit, the butterfly is going to be very sensitive to price action motion. And this is also a place that you can look for a nice return, maybe 200%, a minimum 100% if it begins to fade. So I like this quick strike trade. Remember, it's only got a few days, 10 days until expiration. But my thought is what big money has been doing is using the big spikes to use it as exit liquidity. So they are trimming at these highs. They've got the equities and the futures as hedges, and they're expecting a little bit of a retrace into the formation. I really like both of these setups. If you want to wait on the November one and put in the September one, also a very good idea. Pulling in to this 230-ish area is probably going to make this butterfly lose about maybe 20%, and that might get you in under $1, and that would be a very nice trade to the future.
So that's good, because one of the things that I was going to ask you there is if, like, let's say you did the put one first, right? So you did the September expiry first, you end up getting that move down. Great. That should make the call fly cheaper, but you would still advise going with the same strikes there. You would not readjust those strikes.
I'm
okay,
not going to
perfect.
adjust them at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
That's
we
some
are
of the strategy.
expecting, yeah.
That's some of the strategy I wanted to be sure about there, because I know. Can you talk a little bit about why? Because I know if I was just looking at calls, I would probably want to take a lower strike and hope for the appreciation. But why would you do it this way with the butterfly?
So that is a really great question. And the answer is sort of based on a preference event and the natural inclination of this particular instrument to rise into the end of the year. It's got a good seasonality event. It holds steady over these spaces. And this Gemini news, kind of a big deal. And so I think it's going to give us this upward pressure event that could easily send us into these higher levels. What we have noticed over time, and if we stare down the chart from a longer term perspective, this chart really, when it gaps up, it holds these levels and tends to gap up more and then begins to fade. Now, that's the reason I'm picking those same strikes, because I want to see the break into the higher formations, because that's my expectation of motion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. That's good. I appreciate that. I actually like this. I like this a lot. And I think that if, gun to my head here, I would think that we do get a pullback before making those new highs.
Absolutely.
I love that you've got this set up for that. That's perfect.
All right. Perfect. Now, the next one we're going to look at is AVAV.
Perfect. There you go, Joe. I was hoping she would get to this. And we actually have a question here.
Sure.
Maybe you have an answer for it. I'll just ask it now. Tie it in here if you think you can. AVAV getting pounded today, yet call option prices haven't gone down nearly as much as you might expect. What gives here, Anne Marie?
So that's a very astute observation. And the reason for that, we can see, and I choose reason in quotations, right? So if we stare down what these chains are doing, we can see that we've got twice as many calls to puts, thereabouts. And so when we see heavy call buying, when price action is down, it's telling us big market participants are staring down support zones that they're going to load up on. So what I like to do is look for opportunities where the volume has been the highest. And so we saw in the last earnings event a big volume spike, right? So that area actually is the biggest spike of the year. And so when we stare that down, a key thing to do is the following. You mark it with a box, then you draw a Fibonacci into the low of the area, and you look at this 50% range. So here's what price action has a tendency to do on very large volume. It has a tendency to test that 50% range, as well as test it again if it's going to hold. So the traders obviously are saying, hey, listen, I got a 61.8 retracement event. I'm going to try and buy it here into this formation. So now we collapse down into a daily chart. And we can see on that daily formation, the big volume events are twofold. We have one here, with a low of where the wicks came in. And that, again, very close to the 38.2. That's $227. And the high is up here near 250, right? So this is the box they're playing in. Now, people might say, hey, I've heard this, volume is not an indicator. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I vehemently disagree. And for many years, I actually stood on that side of the fence. But what I noticed is big money clusters into the areas where they know volume is going to capture itself. You see it all the time. So now we have two things to look at. Do we have a chart that continues down, trend, high, lower high, lower high, retest of that high, and then potentially another lower high? Low, lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low. What's that telling you? That's telling you that it's got trend into the downward space. But where is the floor of that downward space? It's down here near 225. We're up here at 231. We can see the traders are trying to hold the floor to get back to the top of the box. Now, statistically speaking, this is a coin toss trade if you get engaged right here. This is the monthly open at 240. And so when you have a coin toss trade, you have to be thinking about some sort of neutral strategy, in my mind. And so the neutral strategy I like is the iron condor, right? And so because look at the volatility spikes. Look at this volatility for September the 12th. It's 153%, right? It is higher by, whoa, what is that? 60% of the following week. So you might go, wow, Emery, 3 days to expiry feels a little bit like gambling if I choose this 250, 260, 200, 190 iron condor. But the chart tells me the traders are going to try and defend this zone. Could they wick down and then bounce back up? Yes. Could they wick up and bounce back down? You better believe that the traders who came in here and said, no, this is it. We're breaking over the top of this volume box. Here we go. We're going into the next batch. When that's here, they're going to wait for that rotation and they are going to try and sell it. And so I love the iron condor here. It gives us a lot of credit for 3 days of holding. So the question might be, well, what do I do, Anne-Marie? If it starts creeping into these levels, you just have to close it if you're not savvy with options. All right. If you are, you can roll it into the next week where I think it's going to hold the same structure. Notice if you go to next week and you try to take that trade, it does give you a little bit more premium and it gives you a little more time. So if you are erring on the side of caution, this might be the cleanest trade for you to look at. If you're a little bit of a gambler and you're looking for the big win in a quick strike, you might choose the 12. But the probability of being wrong here is less than 2%.
Okay.
And so that makes for a really great trade in general. I would choose that above anything else while we're in this noisy patch. Now, you and I won't be together on Friday, but this is a great place to revisit on Tuesday after we see what kinds of reflexive motions. Maybe we have some insight into directional motion by then.
Okay, really good stuff. How's that there for you, Joe? Let me know if you ended up liking that. What else you got for us here, Emery? I think we got time for another one.
All right, so if we want to take a look at coin.
Perfect. We talked about that earlier.
All right, coin is also sitting in a very interesting patch. Again, we look for a couple of big volume pockets. This is the one that we're sitting in. And that is from, what day is that? November of 2024, right? And so the chart is obviously in a ranging formation. The next highest volume event is right here after the earnings. And take a look at how price behaves. It sits in this area for an entire month. It sits in the high of the volume into the low of the volume. And then look at what it does. It goes right into the big volume pocket here, goes to the top, breaks out, comes back, retests it. That's our breakaway formation. Look at where it opened up at the next earnings event, right in the volume pocket. And so now they're sitting at this 50% range between the low of 277 and 340-ish. I don't know about that big fat round number. Maybe we use 350 as that zone. Again, heavy congestion. Could it move down? Could it move up? Yes, but this is the playground right now.
Okay.
And everything is sideways. This is also a potential event. Notice when you're in the big volume pocket, what do? You draw Fibonacci. I'm always teaching stuff here, and I know sometimes it's not the place for it, but there's so much to learn about price action when we're trading and looking at what the Fight Club is all about. And they're trying to get up over this 50% zone. They are creating a floor just under the 61.8. And so now we're looking at that 290 potentially being a really nice hold zone. I think I'm going to put an alert here at or below 290. And then, okay, thank you, honey. Sorry, that was the hubs.
Okay. He's allowed.
You stand at the door going, wait, I know you heard me open the door. All right. And so this is the alert we have. So again, ranging formation, but we also have a clue that there might be some upside event into the top of the pocket, especially if we close the day above $310. That's going to matter a lot. And so let's take a look at it. It's been a while since we looked at that.
Sure
so
is.
If we say, hey, I think it's going to run, I would prefer to use October for an upside formation. And so the upside formation is, hey, I'm going to look at 310 to 315. No frickin' way. Do you hear that?
Fire alarm?
Yes. All right. So
safety first, Anne-Marie.
Yes.
We got to go. We got to go.
315. They can wait. 315 to 335. Unbelievable. Okay, so let's do 320 to 340 to 360. Now, it's $2.45, but there's a $2,000 upside, and so it's about 8x on the upside motion if it only goes to the top of the box, which is that prediction. So how do we maybe pay for that? Same sort of thing. We can use the iron condor. We can do I heard it, I'm coming.
I'll test.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Ignore it.
All right. So always a show. Always.
It never fails. That's okay. Let's finish the coin and we can actually end it here. That's no big
All right.
deal.
So here we go. We can go to I still like October. So let me see if we can pick out a week that's got some volume sitting in it to give ourselves some structure. All right, we can use the 350 to 360, and then because my brain is addled, let's use the bottom of the box, 270, just to be safe. 270 to 260. All right, that gives us a beautiful credit event, right? And so what we might have to do is leave it in the queue, GTC, because the volume is a little bit light,
Okay.
but you can also do this in two spreads if you like. It's much more likely to fill if you're staring that down. So
Okay.
That's my thought. I love these two trades. I think coin's going to have a lot of playable volatility
Yeah, me
in the
too.
next little bit. And we know the pool they're playing in through this formation.
Right. All right. Really good stuff. Amory, we'll cut it a little bit short here today. This is actually a pretty good day to do that. Good luck. Well, we had one person say that sounded like a trade alert alarm. So that's just what we're going to roll with, Amory. That's what we're going to say it was. That's what we're going to say it was. Amory, really good stuff as always here yet again. We won't be here on Friday, but we are going to be here next Tuesday. Okay. Get out of there before the fire gets you. And we'll talk to you next time. Take care, Emery.
Bye-bye.
All right, folks, we're going to sign off a little bit early here today because of the fire alarm or the trade alert alarm, depending on how you look at it. No tech tune-up with Paul Weeks. We'll be back here tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused.